from the metropolis of Baker, and we got the chief of Baker, Chief Carl Dunn, my mentor, here in the house tonight. Thank you for all you do for the community, and I'm just filibustering until Mayor Broom walks in. Just filibustering. I got a lot more material, but I have to govern myself accordingly because I don't want to be on TV saying some stuff I ain't got no business saying. You know, I could tell y'all the one about the two dogs, but that might not be most appropriate at our meeting. So we're going to hold for a few seconds and wait for Mayor Broom to walk in. But it is 3:30, and I like to start on time. I don't like to waste people's time. I tell the kids being early is being on time. And being on time is being late, and being late is like never showing up at all. So, and I can't even move forward because Mayor Broom has all the presentations.
Okay.
No, Dennis, did you check with her over
I'm going
there?
to go over there, Councilman.
All right.
I will take care of it.
Why don't y'all find someone in the chamber you don't know and make you a new friend while we wait for Mayor Broom, and then we'll come back to it. I always hate when the pastors tell us that. My neighbor might not be the.
We're going to be set to start in about 1 minute.
Yeah, my neighbor might not be the prettiest, Shauna.
Look at your neighbor to your right and say, "Welcome to the Metro Council." Y'all hard-headed. I put some on. I bought these just so we can always have them. Yeah. Because I always be eating it, then I got sticky hair. Really good for me. Go in the back, sneak some food, then just stuff on your fingers.
Councilman, the mayor's on her way. She'll be here in 15 seconds.
I don't even know how to open it, though. Yeah, you know.
and here's Mayor Broom to recognize Flood Awareness Month, City of Baton Rouge, Parish of East Baton Rouge. Mayor President Broom.
Hello, everyone.
Greetings.
Mayor Pro Tem and council members. In our city's history, we have known the devastation and the devastating impact of floods. We've seen the impact that they can have on our homes, on our neighborhoods, and our lives. And so it is a reminder of the risk we face and the responsibility we share in safeguarding our community, which is why we're acknowledging March as Flood Awareness Month in East Baton Rouge Parish. I want to take a moment to commend the dedicated individuals at the East Baton Rouge Parish Subdivision Engineering Office. They have been instrumental in our flood prevention and mitigation efforts, working to ensure the safety and resilience of Baton Rouge. Flood Awareness Month is not only a time to recognize the challenges we confront, but also to celebrate our community's resilience. In times of crisis, Baton Rouge has shown remarkable strength, coming together to support one another. During this month, let's continue to educate our citizens about flood risk, preparedness, and emergency response strategies. We want everybody to familiarize themselves with the resources that are available, from emergency preparedness plans to flood insurance options. So I'm proud to share that our community's participation in the Community Rating System program has earned us a current CRS Class 7 rating. So what does that mean? This achievement results in 15% reduction in flood insurance premiums for the residents of East Baton Rouge Parish. And that places us among the top communities in the state for flood resilience. That's a good thing. And so by working together, we can ensure that Baton Rouge remains red stick ready, prepared to face any challenges that come our way. And I think we have some folks here from our engineering department that are here.
Thank you, brother.
Did they come? Okay, I guess they're not. Fred, you representing Flood Awareness Month? Oh, Trina, that would be good. You could give it to them. Okay, this is a proclamation where we state that March is Flood Awareness Month. And we recognize the professional staff from the Department of Transportation and Drainage, Environmental Services, Development, Project Implementation, and the Mayor's Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness. So you can receive this for the departments.
I will.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem, you ready for me to do the
You ready
next
to go
one?
again? That's it? Okay, here we go. Next up, again, Mayor President Sharon Weston Broom to recognize Zuri Watts, 2024 Engineering Student of the Year and Civil Engineering Senior of the Year, Southern University A&M College. Come on down, Zuri.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to meet you. So, I'm going to take a moment to proudly acknowledge this young woman and celebrate one of our outstanding employees who's also a dedicated engineering student from the Southern University, Zuri Watts. Zuri is a student intern in the Traffic Engineering Division of the Department of Transportation and Drainage. Zuri has been named the Southern University Engineering Student of the Year for 2024 and the Civil and Environmental Engineering Senior of the Year. That is a great accomplishment. And this remarkable achievement reflects not only her personal excellence, but also highlights the caliber of talent nurtured within our city. Zuri is an asset to our traffic engineering division, showcasing exceptional dedication and expertise. So we want to celebrate Zuri's accomplishments and recognize the significant contributions she is making to our city. So congratulations, Zuri, on this well-deserved recognition.
Thank you so much.
You want to say anything about that?
I would like to thank everyone for the support, specifically Cindy and Trevor. They are the reason I'm standing here. I want to thank the city of Baton Rouge for giving me the opportunity all the way from Atlanta, Georgia, and to continue doing the great work that you all are doing here.
Are you going to stay in Baton Rouge? Don't.
I don't know yet. I'm still weighing on my
I think we can
options.
find a job for you.
I appreciate it.
What'd you say? She didn't say that. She didn't say that. So, I'm sorry, Mayor Pro Tem.
Oh, next,
please.
Mayor President Sharon Weston Broom to recognize Manisha Patel, Ruben Patel, Mukiti Patel, Peyton DeFalco, and Morgan Moon. That's the easiest name in the list. 2024 Ali Festival Committee members. You want me to do it again?
Come on down, all the organizers of the Holy Festival. So I am so thrilled to acknowledge and extend my appreciation to the organizers of the upcoming Holy Fest in our vibrant city. Holy, often referred to as the Festival of Colors or the Festival of Love, is one of the most revered and joyous celebrations in India, symbolizing the victory of good over evil and the arrival of spring. The Holy Festival of Baton Rouge has really become a unique, cherished event, growing in popularity each year. It goes beyond cultural boundaries. It embodies values of harmony and friendship and love. And this festival provides a beautiful opportunity for our diverse community to come together, casting aside resentments and embracing the spirit of unity. It is set to take place on March 9th at Repentance Park. Holy Fest promises to be a day filled with vibrant colors, joy, and a celebration of the ties that bind us as a community. So I want to encourage all of our residents, regardless of your cultural background, to really be a part of this wonderful event and experience the beauty of unity in diversity. I want to thank the organizers for all of your efforts in bringing this celebration to Baton Rouge, and it is truly commendable. So thank you for fostering an atmosphere of inclusivity and joy in our city. And may Holy Fest 2024 be a resounding success, fostering connections and spreading the spirit of love and camaraderie throughout the community. I just want to tell everybody who comes, if you've never been to Holy Fest, don't wear your best clothes. Wear your jeans, wear your shirt. And I will tell you that when I first became mayor, I had a traditional portrait in my, when you come in the office. But if anybody has been in the office, they will see the picture that is in my office is from Holy Fest. And everybody loves it. And it is one of the most joyous events that I have ever participated in. So I certainly want to give the organizers a commendation and encourage everybody here, everybody who's watching, to participate. So before I give you the commendation, please feel free to share a few words.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate this. It's such an honor, and your support from the beginning of this festival has been incredible. And like Mayor President was saying, we've been growing every year since the first year. This is our fourth annual year, and we just continue to grow. But it is probably one of the happiest days you will experience if you come, and just smiles everywhere and just everybody's happy faces.
That's right. Well,
Thank you
so much. Let's take a picture.
Don't get in that tight. No, it's kind of where you at.
Thank y'all so much.
And next up, Councilmember Cleve Dunn Jr. and Mayor President Sharon Winston Broom to recognize Latoya Johnson Richardson, owner of BR Socialites, and staff.
Good evening, everybody. Those in the audience here with us and those viewing, I want to take the opportunity, and it's an honor to recognize a young lady, a business owner in our community that's making a significant impact on the city of Baton Rouge. Some 2 weeks ago, there was the annual BR Masquerade Ball put on by Latoya and her team and her business, the BR Socialite. Some 3,000 individuals came to the River Center and enjoyed our Mardi Gras season, our carnival time, and just a good old Baton Rouge time. And I want to recognize and honor her and her team. I'll read the proclamation of the certificate. It says, your hard work as a businesswoman, watching you work for over 10 years in the entertainment business and still breaking barriers, creating a platform for Baton Rouge residents to dress up in their best attire, to feel a sense of pride, celebrate their city, is nothing short of admirable. Your creation of the BR Masquerade Ball gives our city something special to look forward to, and watching it grow from 2018, continuously grow bigger and bigger each year is remarkable. Congratulations to you.
I want to echo what Councilman Dunn shared although I did not get a chance to attend, after I saw those pictures on Instagram, I'm like, what? I think I really missed this event. But just hearing about your vision for wanting to have this event, how you've certainly been steadfast and having it every year, and I'm sure you've seen it grow as well. So I too want to celebrate you and commend you for your efforts and commitment in hosting the annual Mardi Gras Ball. And this, of course, is now becoming a cherished tradition in East Baton Rouge Parish. So thank you so much for what you have done. As the owner of BR Socialites, an entrepreneur and creator of the BR Masquerade Ball.
Go on, say something.
We're going to give her an opportunity to say something. First, I want to recognize her team because, like anything, there's a leader, but there's always a team of people that help the leader make things happen and make things go. We all know that in our capacities. We wouldn't be able to do the things we do as council people and as a mayor without our team. And she has a magnificent team, and they're all here with her. I got to first start, Robin, if you would come up and recognize my friend Robin. She's kind of like the sheriff for the whole operation. So I want to recognize Robin and congratulate her.
Thank you.
And I'm not going to read all of them, but we're going to call everybody's name. And Robin going to help me out, Councilman Cole, so I don't butcher nobody's name.
But in their comments, I need to know why I wasn't invited to perform this year. You had Plies. I'm always available, and I'm local.
So he want to replace Plies next year.
I got you covered.
Brittany Johnson. Give Brittany a round of applause. Shamika Sampson. Give her a round of applause. Amber Northern. Round of applause. Devontae Sips. Round of applause. Jakira West. Round of applause. Derek Richardson. Round of applause. Tracy Johnson. Round of applause. Antonio Johnson. Round of applause. Whitney Johnson. Round of applause. Shaka Collins. Round of applause. Tonette Johnson Miller. Milton. Patrick Milton. And that's everybody. So we'll turn it over. And as I turn it over to her, I think it's right to recognize the city of Baker with the mayor being here and the chief being here. The BR Socialite Masquerade Ball actually started at the Baker Municipal Center. But I'll turn it over to her.
I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to grow this business. It was a dream, and it's a reality now. It was in honor of my grandmother, and I'm just happy. So thank y'all. It was an honor.
Awesome job. I'll put you in touch with my manager for next year. Awesome job. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be in recess after this photo until 4 o'clock.
Need help?
Dars.
He left. Oh, I'm sorry. 100 boring. And let me tell you this. Next year, you're supposed to make $1. Give him the key. Here we go. Send it to him. Go ahead, put your picture.
Well, I'm gonna let them get this first.
Y'all scoot in a little bit more. Yeah. There we go. All right. And there we go. All right. 1, 2, 3.
All right, everybody look this way. All right, everybody look this way for me. All right, big smile, everybody.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the council chamber of East Baton Rouge Parish for tonight's meeting. Good to have all of you tuning in, watching by whatever means. If you're from out of town, we are the capital city of the state of Louisiana, the most populated parish in Louisiana. Good to have you with us. And at this time, here is the Mayor President Pro Tem of East Baton Rouge Parish, Councilman Lamont Cole.
Thank you very much, Dennis. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our regularly scheduled Metropolitan Council meeting this Wednesday, February 28, 2024. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Actually, do we have a quorum?
We have a quorum.
We will be led this afternoon in our invocation by the mayor of the great city of Baker, Darnell Waits, and pledge of allegiance by the police chief of the city of Baker, Mr. Chief Carl Dunn. Mayor Waits.
Thank you. And I just want to thank you guys for the invite. Councilmember Banks, thank you always for just thinking of us. Let's bow our heads, you guys. Oh, Heavenly Father, in the name of Jesus, God, we thank you for this day, Lord. God, we thank you for your grace and we thank you for your mercy. And God, we pray right now for everyone in this room, everyone listening on the TV or on the radio. We pray for their families, God, that you just continue to bless them and lift them up. And God, we thank you for the leadership of this great city, East Baton Rouge, the city and the parish. We thank you for the mayor and the council, Lord. And God, right now we ask you to remove anything from our heart that is not of you. And please forgive us for our sin. Bless this meeting. Bring us together in unity. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all both.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Chief.
Do we have, well, we got 3 minutes. We don't have time to do pictures. Do we?
You can step out and do pictures if you want.
Y'all all going to pictures?
Huh?
They want
Who?
the chief and the mayor.
You want?
Us to do a group picture.
Oh, tell me, come on. The mayor of the great city of Baker and the chief of police would like to take a picture with the council. Let's take a picture. Take a picture with the mayor. Oh, with all of us?
I was going to say, he didn't leave that quick, did he? He took his cameraman, too. He must didn't have a purse.
Ready to go.
All right, that's everybody? You want to get yours first?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead. All right, big smile from everybody. Nice, 2, 1. Someone like all right, Chief.
I'm saying, we good.
Item number 1, approval and adoption of the minutes of the Metropolitan Council zoning of February 21st, 2024. The Metropolitan Council zoning meeting of February 21st, 2024 by the council administrators. Anyone here wishing to speak on item? Council members, is there a motion to approve item 1? So moved by Councilmember Amoroso, seconded by Councilmember Coleman. Ashley, would you please read the introductions?
Section 2.12, introductions. Number 2, authorizing an amendment to the hybrid contingency contract with Drew M. Talbot and Alejandro R. Perkins for professional legal services regarding the eligibility to collect taxes on complimentary hotel rooms located in casinos in the city of Baton Rouge. so as to increase the amount from $50,000 to $100,000 and appropriating $50,000 for said purpose by the parish attorney and finance director. Number 3, amend the 2024 pay plan for the classified, unclassified, non-classified contract fire and police employees of the City of Baton Rouge, Parish of East Baton Rouge, so as to make the following changes. Amendment to Municipal Police Appendix, Item 19, Recruitment and Retention Incentive Pay for new hire police officers, newly hired police officers who complete the 2023 Police Academy or 2024 Police Academy and receive a satisfactory review from their supervisor by November 15th, 2024, will receive a recruitment and retention incentive pay in incremental payments totaling $10,000 for non-post certified police officers and totaling $15,000 for post-certified police officers. Amend Item 14, Recruitment and Retention Incentive Pay for new hire police communication officer. 1, newly hired police communication officer 1, employees who complete the initial training and receive a satisfactory review from their supervisor by November 15th, 2024, will receive recruitment retention incentive pay in the amount of $8,000. Police communication officer 1, employees must be hired on or after June 17th, 2023. By Police Chief and Human Resources Director. Number 4, amend the 2024 pay plan for the classified, unclassified, non-classified contract fire and police employees of the City of Baton Rouge, Parish of East Baton Rouge, so as to make the following changes effective March 23rd, 2024. Amendment to classified and unclassified Appendix 1, add Item 28, critical retention hiring of juvenile services employees. To add optional special recruiting rate is allowable up to Step 14 for juvenile services detention series. Juvenile detention classifications are identified as follows: detention cook, laundry worker, detention facility counselor, detention facility manager, detention facility senior shift supervisor, detention facility shift supervisor, food and laundry service supervisor, juvenile detention officer 1, juvenile detention officer 20 hours a week, and juvenile detention officer 2 by Mayor President's Office, Director of Juvenile Services and Human Resources Director. Number 5, amend the 2024 pay plan for the classified, unclassified, non-classified contract fire and police employees of the City of Baton Rouge, Parish of East Baton Rouge, so as to make the following changes effective March 23rd, 2024. Amendment to the classified and unclassified appendix. Add Item 29, critical retention, hiring of development employees. An optional special recruiting rate is allowed up to Step 14 for development classifications. Those classifications are identified as follows: Code Enforcement Manager by Mayor President's Office and Human Resources Director. Number 6, an ordinance acknowledging and recognizing the benefits of the proposed Tiger Athletic Foundation project to build an LSU arena and thereby restricting certain uses by city parish-owned buildings, including the Raising Cane's River Center, and authorizing the Mayor President to identify one or more strategies for developing additional convention capacity and soliciting a developer to develop a convention hotel. By Mayor President Sharon Weston Broome, Councilwoman Carolyn R. Coleman, Councilwoman Jen Rocca, Councilman Dwight Hudson, Councilman Cleve Dunn Jr., Councilman Rowdy Goday, and Councilman Aaron Moak. Number 7, authorizing the Mayor President on behalf of the City of Baton Rouge, Parish of East Baton Rouge, to execute a CEA with the East Baton Rouge Redevelopment Authority relating to the levy, collection, use, and application of sales and use tax collected in connection with the ExxonMobil construction projects and funding of dedicated tax projects by Mayor President Sharon Weston Broome, Councilwoman Carolyn R. Coleman, Councilman Cleve Dunn Jr., Councilman Rowdy Goday. Condemnation introductions. Number 8, John Carter Jr., 4289 Prescott Court, Council District 7, Cole. Number 9, Leon Johnson and Tawana Johnson, 3353 Prescott Road, Council District 7, Cole. Number 10, Thomas Dangerfield et al., 149 East Washington Street, Council District 10, Coleman. Adjudicated property introductions. Number 11, Lot 13, Square 3, Subdivision Magnolia Place, Council District 10, Coleman. Number 12, Lot 5, Square 1, Subdivision Parkview, Council District 10, Coleman. Number 13, Lot 22, Square 43, Subdivision South Baton Rouge, Council District 10, Coleman. Number 14, Lot 16 plus and 18, Square 43, Subdivision South Baton Rouge, Council District 10, Coleman. Number 15, Lot 20 and A, Square 43, Subdivision South Baton Rouge, Council District 10, Coleman. Number 16, Lot 49A, Square 17, Subdivision South Baton Rouge, Council District 10, Coleman. Number 17, Lot 12B, Subdivision South Highland Industrial Park, Council District 3, Goday. Number 18, Lot 9, Square 27, Subdivision Greenville Extension, Council District 7, Cole. Number 19, Lot 18, Subdivision Langlaw Place, Council District 5, Hurst. Number 20, Lot 11, subdivision Roseberry, Council District 10, Coleman. Number 21, Lot 1, Square 14, subdivision Scotland Addition, Council District 2, Banks. Number 22, Lot 2, Square 14, subdivision Scotland Addition, Council District 2, Banks. Number 23, Lot 3, Square 14, subdivision Scotland Addition, Council District 2, Banks. Number 24, Lot 34, Square 26, subdivision Eden Park, Council District 7, Cole. Number 25, Lot 29, Square 35, subdivision South Baton Rouge, Council District 10, Coleman. Number 26, Lot 13, Square 13, subdivision Greenville Extension, Council District 7, Cole. Number 27, Lot 14, Square 13, subdivision Greenville Extension, Council District 7, Cole. Number 28, Lot 12, subdivision Sword Addition, Council District 10, Coleman. Number 29, Lot 12, subdivision Gardier View, Council District 3, Gode. Number 30, Lot 9, subdivision Riverland, Council District 3, Gode. Number 31, Lot 12, subdivision Riverland, Council District 3, Gode. Number 32, Lot 35B, subdivision South Highland Industrial Park, Council District 3, Gode. All items that require reading have been read, and a motion to introduce all items is in order.
Is there a motion to introduce? So moved by Councilmember Hudson, seconded by the chair. Any objections? All items have been introduced. Council members, if you would go to your separate sheet for condemnations, I'm going to read the recommendations that they've been sent to us. They are to proceed with items 54, 56, 61, 62, 63, 65, defer for 90 days items 53, 58, 59, and 66, and delete items 55, 57, 60, and 64. Is there anyone here wishing to speak on the condemnation? We now go to council members. I got yours. Go ahead, council member.
Number 63, 30 days. Wait.
53, 90 days, please.
All right, got you.
Number 61, 30 days.
All right. All right, let me read the recommendations and the changes. They are to proceed with items 62 and 65, defer for 30 days items 54, 56, 61, and 63, defer for 90 days items 53, 59, and 66, and delete items 55, 57, 58, 60, and 64. Is there a motion to approve all condemnations? So moved by Councilmember Amoroso, seconded by Councilmember Coleman. Condemnations have been approved. Council members, let's go to page 16. Page 16, authorizing the mayor president to execute a supplemental agreement number 1 to the contract of the Mugu Architecture LLC for additional design services in connection with their contract for the Pride Fire District number 8 Indian Mound Station in an amount not to exceed $108,666 by Buildings and Grounds Director. Is anyone here wishing to speak on item 67? Council members, is there a motion to approve item 67? So moved by Councilmember Hudson, seconded by Councilmember Noel. Any objections? We go to item 68, authorizing the mayor president to enter into a contract with the Department of Emergency Medical Services with Baker Texaco not to exceed $200,000 by Emergency Medical Services Director. Is anyone here wishing to speak on item 68? We now go to council members. So moved by Councilmember Noel, seconded by the chair. Any objections? We now go to item 69. Authorizing Mayor President to enter into a contract for the Department of Emergency Medical Services with Solutions Group not in an amount not to exceed $200,000 by Emergency Medical Services Director. Is anyone here wishing to speak on the item? We now go to council members. Is there a motion to approve? So moved by Councilmember Coleman, seconded by Councilmember Gode. Any objections? We now go to item 70, authorizing the Mayor President to enter into a contract for the Department of Emergency Medical Services with Solutions Group in an amount not to exceed $420,000 and appropriating $420,000 for said purpose by the Emergency Medical Services Director. Is there anyone here wishing to speak on item 70? We now go to council members. Is there a motion? So moved by Councilmember Amoroso, seconded by Councilmember Coleman. Are there any objections? Item 70 has been approved. Council members, if you return to page 17, we're going to go to item 78, authorizing the mayor president to enter into an agreement with the Environmental Systems Research Institute for maintenance and support of the ESRI GIS software in an amount not to exceed $98,000. Is there anyone here wishing to speak on the item? We now go to council members. Is there a motion? So moved by Councilmember Gode, seconded by the chair. Any objections? We now go to item 79, authorize the mayor, president, and/or chairman of the Airport Commission to accept and execute a state-sponsored agreement from the State of Louisiana Department of Transportation Development and Air Service Plan Program in an amount of $30,000 by the Aviation Director. Is anyone here wishing to speak on the item? So moved by Councilmember Dunn, seconded by Councilmember Coleman. Any objections? We now go to item 80, authorize the mayor president into a professional services agreement with Community Wellness Venture in an amount of $90,000 to administer and operate community-based violence intervention technical assistance by the mayor's office. Is there anyone here wishing to speak on the item? We now go to council members. Is there a motion to approve the item? So
Excuse me,
moved.
council members, you should have received one email comment in opposition to item 80.
So moved by Councilmember Coleman, seconded by the chair. Are there any objections? Item 80 has been approved. We go to item 81, authorize the mayor president into a professional service agreement with Broad Innovation Marketing Firm in an amount of $75,000 to administer and operate community-based engagement in public meetings
Like my hair.
by the mayor's office. Is anyone here wishing to speak on the item? So moved by Councilmember Coleman, seconded by Councilmember Dunn. Are there any objections? Item 81 has been approved. We go now to item 82, authorize the mayor president to execute all documents required by the United States Department of Justice and transfer a grant received by the City of Baton Rouge Police Department and their air support unit, which has since been disbanded, to the East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office in an amount of $500,000 by Police Chief. Is there anyone here wishing to speak on item 82? We now go to council members. So moved by Councilmember Hudson, seconded by Councilmember Coleman. Any objections? We go now to item 83, amending the 2024.
Can I get somebody from BRPD to come up, or the administration? On 82.
On 82, we're back to 82. Someone from BRPD.
Dante, and
Yes,
if
sir.
you're not, both versed on this, you can get back to me. I just want to get some clarity on the disbanding of it and transferring the unit to the sheriff department.
Yes, sir. That's exactly what happened. So in 2022, following a pretty traumatic incident with the BRPD's aviation unit, a decision was made to disband BRPD's unit and consolidate with the sheriff's office to provide that aerial support for the entire parish versus just being housed in PD in city limits. So with that consolidation, we're just providing this funding that would have otherwise gone to this unit to the sheriff's office.
So what happens with our unit or the unit we had? Was that owned by the city? Was it leased?
Yeah, I believe we, and apologies for not having all of this offhand, but I believe that we did own the actual helicopters and those have been sold to the sheriff's office. Is that correct? I got Deputy Chief Noel coming up as well.
Sorry, apologies. So the second helicopter BRPD had was part of the 1033 program, which is a federal asset sharing program. So we only paid a fee for it, but it was never really the department's. Once we decided to make those administrative moves, we thought it prudent to suggest to the 1033 program, the sheriff's office was looking for an additional helicopter. We had to return it because we were no longer going to use it. So they simply transferred ownership in the federal documents necessary to transfer that 1033 piece of property to the sheriff's office.
Gotcha. Thank you for that point of clarity.
Yeah.
But as a follow-up, Neil, if you remember, with all of these accidents or incidents that have taken place with law enforcement officials, specifically BRPD, responding to service calls or chases and things of that nature, one of the recommendations was that the officers would get more guidance from supervisors to determine do they pursue or do they not pursue. But one of them was also that you would utilize the aerial units and helicopters to track or monitor or follow vehicles versus, putting people in danger and racing or following on the streets. So how does this affect that recommendation or that best practice that came out of those findings?
So one of the things that we're doing to supplement that is to look at our drone program. We are probably a few months away from a pilot to have drones in different areas of the city that could manage that. I think by early summer, we're going to have one, we're going to engage a company to have one in a strategically advantageous place that will have a 5-mile radius. If that works well for us, we think we can cover the city with 4 additional. And from a service standpoint, the cost benefit is there to have that as opposed to an aviation unit.
And when is this program going to be up and running again?
Hopefully within 2 months.
Okay, within 2
Now,
months.
we do have a drone program. We are running drones, quite a few, but we don't have them strategically located at the ready that can be controlled or manned from the crime center or at a moment's notice. They are mission directed at this moment.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
We go now, council members, to item 83. Amending the 2024 annual operating budget for the Alson St. Lee Fire Protection District so as to appropriate $16,970 from Alson's fund balance unassigned for the purchase of a Motorola radio upgrade and pressure washer by Alson St. Lee Fire Chief. Is there anyone here wishing to speak on the item? When I go to council members, motion to approve by Councilmember Hudson. Go ahead, council member. Seconded by Councilmember Banks. Any objections? We'll now go to item 84, amending the 2024 annual operating budget for the Brownsville Fire Protection District so as to appropriate $89,700 from the Brownsville's fund balance unassigned to fund the expansion of the Brownfields Fire Station number 72 by Brownsville Fire Chief. Anyone wishing to speak on the item? Motion to approve by Councilmember Banks, seconded by the chair. Any objections? We go now to 85. Amend the 2024 pay plan for the classified, unclassified, non-classified contract fire and police employees from the city of Baton Rouge Parish of East Baton Rouge so as to make the following changes. Add new classification: Chief Program Analyst and Community Development Program Manager, $52,473 to $88,604 by Human Services Director and Urban Development Director. Is anyone here wishing to speak on the item? We now go to council members. Is there a motion to approve? So moved by the chair, seconded by Councilmember Coleman. Any objections? We go now to item 86, amend the 2024 allotment of positions for the city of Baton Rouge Parish of East Baton Rouge so as to change the allotment of the Mayor President's Office of Community Development, delete 1 Community Development Manager, add 1 Assistant Urban Development Director, Chief Program Analyst, Community Development Program Manager, 1 Program Analyst, and 2 Senior Administrative Specialists by Human Services Director and Urban Development Director. Is anyone here wishing to speak on the item? We now go to council members. Motion to approve by Councilmember Coleman, seconded by Councilmember Banks. Any objections? We now go to item 87, amend the 2024 annual operating budget for the Charles Kelly Community Center so as to appropriate $25,000 from the anticipated rental revenues generated by the community center for events and equipment at the center by Charles Kelly Community Center. Is anyone here wishing to speak on the item? We now go to council members. So moved by Councilmember Hurst, seconded by the chair. Any objections? We now go to go to item 88. Authorizing the Mayor President to execute a cooperative endeavor agreement with the LSU Foundation in the amount of $500,000 to assist with the development of the Burden Welcome Center and plan multi-use space that will serve as a gateway to the Burden Museum Gardens by Mayor President. Is there anyone here wishing to speak on the item?
Council members should have received 1 email comment in opposition to item 88.
So moved by Councilmember Rocker, seconded by Councilmember Coleman. Any objections? We now go to 89. Authorizing the Mayor President to execute a contract with Informatics LLC in an amount not to exceed $77,500 for data analytics support services and enhances the transparency regarding the allocation and utilization of funds received through the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021 by Mayor President. Is anyone here wishing to speak on the item? We now go to council members. Is there a motion? So moved by Councilmember Hudson, seconded by Councilmember Coleman. Any objections? Item 89 has been approved. Council members, we're going to take a report. We're going to take a report on page 123. receiving the annual report from the Bridge Center of Hope by Councilmember Denise Amorosa. We're going to have the report first, then we're going to have the public hearing, and then we'll come to council. Is the Bridge Center ready? Come on down. On you.
Oh, okay. Good evening.
Good evening.
It's been about 6 months since I last addressed the council, so give me just a few seconds. I want to do something different this time. A lot of times when I'm here or I encounter individuals, they want to know the outcomes of the center. They want to know how we're doing, how is the facility operating, what is happening to the people who come there. So I think the best way for me to do that is I would like to read a letter that was given to the Bridge Center by a parent. It says, Ms. Claiborne and the Board of Directors of the Bridge Center for Hope, we are writing a letter of thanks to you and your staff for exceptional care you provided to our 27-year-old son who struggles with paranoid schizophrenia. It is not an exaggeration to say that the care at the Bridge saved our son's life as well as laid the foundation for our son to be willing to reconnect with his family after 2.5 years of silence. Because he has been involuntarily hospitalized 6 times prior to entering the Bridge Center, he and our family have experience with acute behavioral health treatment. And until the Bridge, our experience with care has all been poor. The staff at the Bridge Center, particularly social worker Shavonda Poindexter and nurse Ashlyn Crosby, were the first behavioral health providers to give not just outstanding medical care, but also compassionate care during hospitalization and afterwards through aftercare plans which they supported. The Bridge staff treated our son as a human being struggling with an illness that is not his fault, met him where he was, gained his trust, and for the first time since his illness took over when he was 22 years of age, got him to take medication and accept help. In addition, Bridge staff got him to agree to cut his long hair behind, which he hid from other people. Prior acute care centers had grown frustrated with the lack of insight about his mental illness and thus his unwillingness to agree and participate in his care and given up on him. Their aftercare plans consisted of releasing him with a short period of medicine, a prescription, a meeting with a community-based mental health care provider, a bus ticket, and no communication with his family. This resulted in one case of 4 months of homelessness in the middle of winter. Prior to the Bridge Center's exceptional care, our son has been homeless for 3 separate stretches, totaling a year. Rather than release him back into homelessness, Bridge staff, particularly Ms. Poindexter, worked to find him a stable housing situation and communicated closely with us about the care needed. Ms. Poindexter found our son a supported group home. These steps helped him to begin to recover from his illness and a brutal 7 months of homelessness and better connect to others, a vital part of his recovery. His hospitalization at the Bridge Center was unfortunately not his last. During the 2 years that he was in Baton Rouge, our son had 9 total interactions with the Bridge Center due to his struggles with this devastating severe mental illness. Each time, the Bridge team treated him with expertise and compassion. And each time, they communicated to us about his care and worked to find stable housing options that would reduce his paranoia and would allow him care and support to assist him with his activities of daily living. Miraculously, at one time, our son walked out of the group home in which he was not comfortable. He voluntarily returned to the Bridge Center to the only human beings he trusted, his care providers. Prior to this time, he has never voluntarily entered into a behavioral health facility and has never returned to people who assisted with his prior care. This is a testament to the trusted relationship that the Bridge Center staff has built with someone struggling with paranoia stemming from one of the most severe mental illnesses. As his parents, we understand that what a monumental accomplishment this is. Not only did the Bridge Center team not give up on our son the first time they treated him, but they did not also give up on our son the 9th time they treated him. Our son called us several days after Thanksgiving 2022, after 3 years of silence, to ask us to pick him up and bring him to his home in Williamsburg, Virginia, pleading for us the first time that he would engage in treatment. When he called us barefoot from a park in Baton Rouge and knowing that it would take us 48 hours to get to him, we called Shavonda on a Saturday morning and asked her to pick up our son and take him to a hotel. She did so immediately, always prioritizing our son's health and safety, whether she was working that day or not. As soon as we arrived in Baton Rouge, Ms. Poindexter was on the phone arranging his intake at a community-based health service back in Williamsburg. One of our priorities was to meet in person his exceptional care team at the Bridge Center to thank them in person for their care of our son. We did so one afternoon with many hugs and tears and happiness in the lobby of the Bridge Center for Hope, an experience we will always treasure. Our son even allowed us to take pictures with him and his support heroes. In sum, we are deeply grateful for the Bridge Center care of our son and the care provided to some of the most vulnerable members of our community. Though struggling with severe mental illness, the Bridge Center is a shooting star in a galaxy facility that too often fail to treat people struggling through no fault of their own with severe mental illness as human beings deserving to live the best life they are possible for them. Rather than treat them like a problem to be tossed off to someone or anyone else, the Bridge Center has treated him like a human with potential and has done everything they can to support him. Thank you for your extraordinary care. We'd be willing to provide you with more details if you're interested by calling or emailing us. We feel privileged to have had this experience with your organization and only hope your innovative model will make it to Virginia someday in the future, the Menzies. I read that because it's one of the few testimonies that we get. I get a lot of them verbally. I get people come up to us a lot of times telling us that they either have gone through the Bridge Center for Hope or they have a loved one that has gone through it. Not everyone that comes through the facility is going to have that outcome. Again, like the letter states, it took 9 times. We know that mental health does not discriminate against anyone, and therefore we don't discriminate when we provide care and treatment. The Bridge Center is still Louisiana's only crisis receiving center. Despite our many obstacles, we remain committed to the East Baton Rouge Parish residents to provide comprehensive mental health care and substance use services. To date, the center has provided care to over 8,000 individuals in crisis, and we're still counting. That's as of January 31st, is 8,304 to be exact. We are a subrecipient of a SAMHSA grant working with Capital Area Human Services as their crisis provider for their CCBHC, which stands for their Certified Community Behavioral Health Clinic. We've partnered with various mental health and substance use agencies for the good of those who entrust us with their recovery. And upon discharge, we still have a lot more to do. Funding for the Bridge Center still remains one of the greatest challenges in attempting to establish a sustainable model for Louisiana, which inhibits the participation of many providers, but yet we still forge ahead, hoping to create a pathway for many to follow. In light of this plight, we have met with Senators Cassidy, Carter, Congressman Graves, Secretary Abraham, and presented before the Subcommittee on Mental Health of the House Committee on Health and Welfare. At present, our focus is expanding our mobile crisis response team by establishing a partnership with EMS Emergency Medical Services in order to eliminate the need for law enforcement and paramedics to be dispatched in response to 911 emotionally disturbed persons calls. We are also hosting our 4th annual Bridging the Gap community event this May 21st, which will provide resources not only to the East Baton Rouge Parish, but to the providers to let them know what services we have in the East Baton Rouge Parish. And then this year, we're doing something different where we will be going out into the community centers, because I've sent you all emails. And also, we have partnered with Breck Park to go to the locations to provide the services there so that we know that some people can't come to the Goodwill Library, so we're going to come to them this year. To date, the Bridge Center celebrated its 3rd anniversary on February the 11th. We have had 8,304 presentations, 7,895 admissions, 409 resource informations. 77% of the individuals that come to the Bridge Center are male, 23% are female. 72% of the individuals that have come to the Bridge Center in the last 3 years were independent. 28% were escorted by first responders. And if you want me to give you a breakdown on those first responders, I can. But the average handle time with first responders still remains under 5 minutes, which is 3.14 minutes. 60% of the individuals that have come to the facility have been treated for mental illness, while 40% have come in either with a substance use or a co-occurring disorder, which means substance use and mental health. 37% of the patients that come to the facility are transferred to our inpatient psychiatric care unit. 27% are stabilized, and then they are transferred to a 28 residential detoxification program, and 36% are stabilized within the first 23 hours, and then given outpatient referral care either with the IOP or with just a regular appointment. Any questions before I keep going? Okay, I'm almost finished. It is important to note, and I wanted to highlight this, is that 79% of Louisiana is without enough mental health services, which is 3.6 million, which shines a light on the crisis services that we provide. Being the only state crisis service provider, we have had people, we've serviced 51 of the 64 parishes. The individuals that come throughout are passing through EBR, some not necessarily, but they have come because, again, we're the only crisis provider in the state. In response to that, Louisiana Department of Health is progressing with their Louisiana Crisis Response System, but it's still in its infancy stages, which is trying to expand crisis services throughout the state of Louisiana. And recently, Governor Landry announced his recommendations for the healthcare and hospital policy. And in that, numbers 3 and 4 outline with what the Bridge Center is already doing, and that is to develop a comprehensive statewide master plan for behavioral health services delivery, resulting in a shorter stay options for the urban and the rural areas, and then also to increase ER diversions for mental health services and work with law enforcement agencies to access wraparound services. Again, that is what the Bridge Center is already doing. So in state of all of that, I want to stop and just say thanks to the residents of East Baton Rouge Parish. Thank you, Metro Council. Thank you to the mayor for being able to allow the Bridge Center for Hope to provide these services to the most vulnerable population. We still have a lot more to go, but considering we've only been open 3 years, we have, for the second consecutive year, have treated or admitted more. Well, let me say this. We're the second highest admission for psychiatric among the hospitals. Why you did that? Questions?
Well, we're going to have a public hearing before we go to council.
Can I have one person come up and speak real quick, if possible?
It's part of the report?
Yep.
From the Bridge Center, or is this?
From the Bridge Center. It's the Chief Medical Officer for RI International.
All right, tell them, come on.
This is first Metro Council meeting, so be easy.
No, first one is always challenging.
I'm an outsider. I'm not from here, but I love to come visit so I can eat your wonderful food here. And thank you for asking me to speak. I'll be very brief, but I also want to echo. I'm one of the main writers of Crisis Now and SAMHSA's guidelines for how to do crisis care across the country. That's designed to help create an equivalent parity system like we have for emergency physical health care for folks in crisis with mental health and substance use issues. And so the congratulations and gratitude that we have at Recovery Innovations as being thought leaders in how to do this in the collaboration with the Bridge Center for Hope and East Baton Rouge and us being able to do this center here is just the impact of it, just those stories, but the numbers and the things that y'all are doing compared to when it's not even being done statewide yet. And it's not being done across the country. So for my genuine thanks to you as somebody who travels and speaks internationally and around the country and consulting with lots of different states about how to do this, and then them wanting to come visit this site to see how it's done and how to do it right. And the last thing and the most important thing, the other leaders across the rest of the country from some of our sites get tired of me always talking about this, but the community and the people that serve in this area for the Bridge Center for Hope, our staff, are so much engaged and connected to the community of people we serve. And that's part of that reason why they have that care piece. And so I just really appreciate your area and the people in the community and what they do. And thank y'all very much.
Thank you so much. Councilman Anderson. Councilman Anderson, right there. Y'all got it? All right. Okay.
First of all, good afternoon to everybody. As usual, I have a number of questions. There are 2 reports that come out every year that to me are the benchmarks of what accountability are. The first one is the reports we receive every year from the East Baton Rouge Parish Library. The second one is the reports we receive from the East Baton Rouge Council on Aging, down to how many meals, down to costs, metrics, outcomes, very specific. And I have nothing nothing against the wonderful storytelling that goes with every program. But I have asked since the very beginning, when this project was brought to the council, and this wasn't the only way it could have been done. Could have been under the Capital Area Human Services, could have been done in a number of ways. But what was sold was this would be a diversion to keep people struggling with mental health out of the jail. I want those numbers. I want to know how many people we are keeping out of the jail. I want the demographics by both district as well as zip code. We heard for many, many years about how they did not have enough money. And now in this latest report, we are serving 61 out of 64 parishes. But who is paying for that? And it may sound like it is nitpicking. It is taxpayer dollars. And we have a right to an accountability system that starts at the base and compares same data each single year so that we know whether we're getting what we actually agreed to. And I don't think that's asking much. Not very long ago on this agenda was the parish donating a van to the Bridge Center. But the original contract, the original agreement was about mobile outreach. So again, I would ask this council if we can come up with a standardized report. And the two organizations that I mentioned earlier, I think can be more than helpful in creating that template. But I would honestly like to see a very objective metric. I want to know what we're doing. It is wonderful that 8,304 people got served. But the taxpayers of this parish have a right to know if the thing they signed off to is being done. And those metrics are not hard to come up with. I am very appreciative of Charlotte, and she knows that. But the reality, as I have mentioned, I am on the Louisiana Behavioral Advisory Council. I know the bed count on behavioral health beds in this state. I know what the strategic plan is. So I don't ask these questions to be rude. I ask them because taxpayers legitimately have a right to know if the thing that they agreed to is actually being done. Thank you.
Is there anyone else here wishing to speak on the item? We now go to council members. Council member Hurst.
Charlotte and R.I., thank y'all so much for what you have done. I will say this. I've had a lot of interaction with Charlotte. Our relationship started off kind of rough because I was like Councilmember Anderson back there. And once I stopped barking and started doing a little bit more listening, I sat down with her. She sent me the same reports that we're asking for. And I do agree that we should have a quarterly public report that comes out to know what the dollars are. Have no problem, or send me no problem with that. So, Councilmember Anderson, I'm okay with that. But I just wanted to thank them because I did sit down in Charlotte's office with other people being there in the mental health industry. She was able to engage, answer questions, and respond to help me better meet the needs of my constituents in District 5. Additionally, I put several people in ambulances who are drug addicted and said, I'm ready to stop. Or who are having psychiatric issues, and for whatever reason, they were brought to the Bridge Center. I've seen somebody be completely dead on side the street, one of the scariest experiences of my life, take 2 doses of Narcan, come back, and then go to the Bridge Center. I saw them revive from death. So we can always talk about what's not being done, but I want to thank you for what you are doing. You were the first of your kind in the state. So I tell people in any business, as you figure it out for yourself, you also figure out that you're never going to be 100% perfect, right? And so you strive for perfection to achieve excellence in the process. And the way you achieve excellence is continue to understand those gaps, continue to understand what the public wants out of that process, and continue to put a plan together to close those gaps. So I support Councilwoman Anderson and will request her quarterly report or semi-annual, but I do thank you for what you do thus far, and my comment had nothing to do with what she brought up. I just want to tell you thank you for the time you spent with me to better serve my district.
Councilmember Adams.
Hi, Charlotte. Just a few questions. Okay. I remember at one point that not all the beds were being utilized. So where are we now with the number of beds that are available and our utilization of the facility?
We're still with the same number, which is 16 beds, but we also have 16 crisis chairs, so we have the capacity of 32.
Okay. And I also, thank you, I also remember that y'all were working to become authorized providers with a number of insurance plans. How many people with insurance are presenting at the Bridge Center, and how is it going with getting reimbursements from insurance companies?
To go more in detail, I'm going to call on the State Director, Sean Langston Emery, to answer that. But as far as the insurance companies, we are licensed with all, well, RI, our service provider, is licensed with all 6 plans. Overall speaking, about 68% of the individuals that come to the Bridge Center have Medicare, has Medicaid. About 20% of the individuals that come to the facility are funded through the Bridge Center for Hope, and then you have the remaining are either through a commercial insurance plan or through Medicare.
And so how are we doing on those reimbursements?
That would be RI International, who's the service provider, so the contract is actually with them.
Okay. Please come. Thank you.
Good afternoon. We are currently working with all of the MCOs. We are contracted and credentialed with all of the 6, and we are still working with them to receive the proper compensation. So we have monthly meetings with them, and the percentages vary, but I would say it's anywhere from the low end that's receiving, maybe if you were to average it, maybe about 50%. Like okay. 49 to 50%.
Okay. And do you anticipate that growing as you mature these relationships, or
Yes, we do, and we're also working with LDH as well, and they're working with the MCOs. So they're meeting with them, and of course we are meeting. And as they said, this is the first crisis receiving center, and our license is 001. And so just setting up, they were setting up, of course, fee schedules and the service delivery. So we continue to work with them because we would like to be compensated at 100% because we have provided the services, and we would love to be compensated for all of the work that we have done.
Great. Well, thank you. I think we probably appreciated a report in maybe 6 months to find out how that's going. I mean, I know
Sure.
it's uncharted territory.
Sure.
It's just critical because that expands the amount of services that y'all are able to offer. It
Absolutely.
multiplies
Yes.
the taxpayer's dollar for a better return.
Absolutely, we're ditto. We
Yeah, I know.
we agree.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Councilmember Amoroso.
Charlotte, thank you so much for coming. I do have the privilege of sitting in on these meetings, and they are public meetings, so if anybody else wants to get online or be at the meeting, you are certainly invited. So just a couple of the questions that Councilperson Anderson had. First of all, can you address about the van? She had a question about the van.
The van was supposed to be a community outreach van. I am still waiting on City Parish to finalize the paperwork. I just signed the title over yesterday, so I still don't have complete access to the van to have it registered in the Bridge Center's name.
So where exactly did you get the van from?
BRPD, Baton Rouge Police Department.
Okay, this is not a new van.
No, this is a 2012 Ford Expedition.
Okay, so we're looking at a 12-year-old van. Okay.
Yes.
Other question. She also, her concern, and one of the issues that we were looking at was keeping some of our people that are struggling out of jail. Are we keeping them out of jail?
We are, but let me explain that. With law enforcement, it is subjective. When they encounter someone having a behavioral health crisis, it is up to them to decide where they want to go. We have provided crisis intervention training to BRPD, to the sheriff's office. We work hand in hand with them every single day. But at the end of the day, the decision to where they're going to go is ultimately theirs, in spite of all of the training and the information that we provide. So we can't tell you if that person was going to go to jail or not. We can only account for the people who were escorted to the facility by law enforcement.
Okay. All right. So also, another one of the issues that she brought up was that we are servicing people that are out of the parish. How do we pay for those people that are coming in from out of the parish?
So in order to be licensed as a crisis receiving center, we have to comply with Louisiana Department of Health and Hospitals. According to their standards, you have to be a regional provider, meaning you cannot provide services just for EBR without doing the entire region. We are, or when I say we, I mean our service provider is the Region 2 service provider for crisis services, which means they serve the 7 parishes. With that being said, the parish money or the millage only applies to East Baton Rouge Parish residents. Everyone else out of the parish is funded either through their Medicaid plan or through their commercial payer. None of the tax dollars that we accumulate for East Baton Rouge Parish is spent on anyone outside of East Baton Rouge Parish.
So really, according to Louisiana law, you have to service anyone that comes in.
In order to be licensed to provide services with Louisiana Department of Health, yes.
Okay.
There are 10. It's broken into 10 regions. There's and EBR falls under Region 2.
Okay, so let me see if I had other questions for you. So I know that we were struggling with the Medicaid situation. Has that pretty much gotten straightened out?
No.
Okay.
And as Sean was reporting, I think part of it is that Louisiana only implemented crisis services in March of 2022. So it is a new service, so it's a learning curve for not only for Louisiana, but it's also a learning curve for the MCOs, the managed care organizations. So they're still trying to understand the services and carve out how to pay and not deny. So they're still working with LDH and the MCOs to get that rectified.
So really and truly...
And then again, we're still the only crisis provider still.
And that's what I was going to say. So y'all are really trailblazers.
Correct.
Is what you are, trying to figure some of this out. So if there are other crisis centers that do want to open throughout the state, then you have
we've pretty much
solved a lot of the issues.
Absolutely.
And faced a lot of the issues. As I said, I do serve on this board, and these are really great people that really have a lot of concern for our citizens that are facing crisis issues, and I do appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charlotte.
Councilmember Banks. Councilmember Dunn.
Charlotte, I need you to stay there. I got one question that I think all of my colleagues and even some of the department heads want to know the answer to. Councilman Hurst said you got him to stop barking and start listening. We want to know what the secret was to do that.
To ask him about who Bay is.
Okay.
That's
you.
I met his wife.
I got it. All right. Thank you. That's it.
Okay. Councilmember Banks.
Hey, Charlotte.
Hello.
When I think of Charlotte, I think of my granddaughter, Charlotte.
Oh, so. Great woman.
Yeah.
Reverend Anderson?
Reverend Anderson. Y'all have me messed up calling her councilwoman. Reverend Anderson. You mind coming up, please? In your comments, you mentioned another organization and the kind of report that they give. Do you have access to that?
Yeah,
Okay.
Both the Council on Aging and the libraries produce their reports, and they are available to...
No, when you mentioned about a behavioral something...
Oh, the Louisiana Behavioral Advisory Council? Yeah, that council actually informs the state on the SAMHSA, the major grants that we get. And so they meet quarterly. The reports are actually available to
So what
anybody from the
information
public.
are included on those reports?
Literally every single behavioral health bed we have in the state, the layouts of how behavioral health is set up in the state, the major grants, and of course, the stakeholders who are providing the services. So for instance, the MCOs.
As it relates to the stakeholders, does it give, like the information you indicated, that the bridge city, like the number of beds, who's using zip code, or is that part of the report that you're getting?
It would depend on which provider you're looking at. So
That's what I was hoping I was getting is where you were able to indicate what you think the report should have, and I assume that was because you had seen the report, and I was thinking that would be a great reference. For Charlotte to know, again, this is as far as they know, where obviously if you're part of a statewide, there are some similar programs. But what I wanted to offer is where the three of us meet, we go through this example of a report that you have referred to, so that we could know, because you come up every quarter with the same, and I don't want us to keep kicking the can, ignoring it, glossing over it. You've been very specific as to what you think, and I think is advantageous. As you know, I like PowerPoint, So this is in line with how I am able to consume knowledge and data. So if you don't mind, Charlotte, if you could, schedule a meeting. You've been wanting me to come to the Bridge Center of Hope for 3 years, and I've never made it. No. So this is your opportunity, and so that we could just see what Reverend Anderson is talking about. I think it would help all of us to better get the sense. We do know you're doing great work. We do know, and we do acknowledge that people are being helped regardless of the number, but we are talking about dollars and cents. And so the accountability of dollars spent should always be able to lead back to an individual that received those services. So my thing is this: if we could have a meeting, the three of us, you show us what you were talking about. But Reverend Anderson, just like I'm talking now, I need it in writing from you. I need you to list what you want to see. And because it's probably going to be my only time doing this. So if you could be very specific, then you could get specific information. All right?
Can I respond real quick?
Sure.
So if you go to our webpage, I produce a monthly report. I don't do quarterly, I do monthly. And it lists everything that you want to know on it without getting into public health information. There's also a quarterly financial report that we are obligated to provide every year. So there's a quarterly financial report.
My son. So y'all could go ahead.
Well, there's a quarterly financial report that gives out every dollar that is spent, and then there's also a monthly report that talks about everyone in the facility without invading any of their public health information.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you would, thank you for that report. We're going to go back now, ladies and gentlemen, to page 16, item 71, authorizing settlement in a matter entitled Nia Thorne versus the City of Baton Rouge and Jerry Bonnet, an amount of $500,000 plus court costs an amount of $44 by the parish attorney. Is there anyone here wishing to speak on the item? We now go to council members. Councilmember Adams.
Can someone from the parish attorney come up and give us the facts of this case? Hi, how are y'all doing? Could you, for the folks watching at home who are going to pay out in taxes $500,000. Could you give us just an overview of this case?
Sure, absolutely. This is a.
Oh, and I'm sorry. Please introduce yourselves. I'm so sorry.
Jim Moore on behalf of the Parish Attorney's Office. This is a motor vehicle accident case involving Baton Rouge Police Department, and we have a situation where there's a lot of medical specials, a lot of injuries involved, and we have taken it very, very seriously into consideration and think that is a reasonable amount, and it's in the best interest of the city parish to move forward with that.
And so we were at fault, the officer was at fault for the wreck. Is that, I guess you probably can't say that. No, I'm sorry, you can't say that. I know. My husband's an attorney. You can't say that. Okay. Do you want to introduce yourself, sir?
Yeah. David Lefebvre on behalf of the Parish Attorney's Office and head of litigation now.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion to approve the item? So moved by Councilmember Hudson, seconded by the chair. Are there any objections? We now go to item 72, authorizing settlement in the matter entitled Raven Patan versus the City of Baton Rouge Parish of East Baton Rouge Fire Department, Michael Richardson, in an amount of $75,000 plus court costs in the amount of $369.44 for a total amount of $75,369.44 and appropriating $75,369.44 for such purpose by the parish attorney. Is there anyone here wishing to speak on the item? We now go to item 73, authorizing settlement in the matter entitled State Farm versus Laddie Osby and BRPD, 72. I asked, was anyone here wishing to speak on the item? Is there a motion to approve the item? 72, motion to approve. So moved by Councilmember Hudson, seconded by Councilmember Goda. Any objections? We now go to 73, authorizing settlement in the matter entitled State Farm versus Laddie Osby and BRPD consolidated with Willie McCowan and Laddie Osby and the BRPD through the City of Baton Rouge consolidated with Donald and Wanda Sanders versus the City of Baton Rouge BRPD and Laddie Osby in an amount of $82,500 plus court costs in the amount of $1,040.96 for a total amount of $83,540.96 and appropriating said amount for such purpose by the parish attorney. Is anyone here wishing to speak on the item? We now go to council members. Is there a motion to approve the item? So moved by the chair, seconded by Councilmember Goday. Any objections? We now go to item 74, authorizing a settlement in the matter entitled Rashida S. Little versus the City of Baton Rouge et al. In an amount of $65,000 plus court costs in the amount of $521.76 for a total amount of $65,521.76 and appropriating $65,521.76 for such purpose by the parish attorney. Is anyone here wishing to speak on the item? We now go to council members. So moved by Councilmember Coleman, seconded by Councilmember Goday. Any objections? We go to 75, authorizing settlement of the claim of Monica Haddock and the damages resulting from an auto accident caused by the Baton Rouge police officer in an amount of $12,697.78 by the parish attorney. Is anyone here wishing to speak on the item? We now go to council members. Is there a motion to approve? So moved by the chair, seconded by Councilmember Goday. Is there any objection? We go to item 76, authorizing settlement in the matter entitled DeMarcus Wells versus Maurice Duke et al. In an amount of $80,000 plus court costs in an amount of $989.02 for the total amount of $80,989.02 and appropriating such amount for the purpose by parish attorney. Is there anyone here wishing to speak on the item? We now go to council members. Is there a motion to approve item 76? So moved by the chair, seconded by Councilmember Goday. We now go to any objections. Item 77, authorizing a settlement in the claim of Shamiko Laborde, a bodily injury resulting in a slip and fall at the Goodwill Library in an amount of $14,000. Is anyone here wishing to speak on the item? We now go to council members. Is there a motion to approve? So moved by Councilmember Coleman, seconded by the chair. Any objections? Council members, we're now going to go to administrative matters very quickly. Administrative matter A, authorize the mayor president to execute a contract with Rosebud Healthcare LLC to provide school-based workshops relative to the OPR prevention, education, intervention, and treatment not to exceed $98,010. The reason scheduled the comments upon the council approval of March 13, 2024. Need a motion I need to read them all. Yep. Item B, that's item A, authorize the mayor president to execute a contract with Internal Crisis Outreach in Inc. to address the needs of the persons with opioid use disorder and other concurring substance use disorders and are at the risk of becoming involved in the criminal justice system not to exceed $150,000. Item C, authorize the mayor president to execute a contract with the Eclectic Cognitive Behavior Center to perform intervention and treatment of families dealing with the opioid use disorders and the substance abuse disorder, mental health and recovery support management not to exceed $150,000. Need a motion to waive the rules so the items can be introduced. Is there a motion to waive the rules? So moved by Councilmember Hudson, seconded by Councilmember Coleman. Anyone here wishing to speak on the motion to waive the rules? Any objections to the motion to waive the rules? I need a motion to introduce the items. So moved by Councilmember Hudson, seconded by Councilmember Coleman. Items A through C have been introduced. We now go to administrative emergency item. Change order, BR Metro Airport Concourse A roof replacement. Contractor Lakeshore Roofing Construction. Change order amount at 86 days. Item. All right. Need a motion to waive the rules. So moved by Councilmember Dunn, seconded by Councilmember Coleman. Anyone wishing to speak on the motion to waive the rules? Any objections to the motion to waive the rules? Is there anyone here wishing to speak on the item? Council members, anyone wishing to speak on the item at the council level? We now go back to, Now we need a motion to approve. So moved by Councilmember Dunn, seconded by Councilmember Coleman. Any objections? We now go to change order. Item E, change order. EBR Library Outreach Renovations. Contractor Sienna Construction LLC, change order amount $114,547 by Building and Grounds Director. I need a motion to waive the rules. So moved by Councilmember Coleman, seconded by the chair. Is there anyone here wishing to speak on the item? Any objections to the motion to waive the rules? Anyone wishing to speak on the, first was anyone wishing to speak on the motion to waive the rules? Any objection to the motion to waive the rules? Now is there anyone wishing to speak on the item? We now go to the council. Is there a motion to approve E? Motion to approve E. So moved by Councilmember Hudson, seconded by the chair. Council members, we received a phone call from Coach Sean Wallace. He's not going to be able to make it today, so we do not need to take item F. We will not take item F. Council members, if you will, but now go to page 19. Page 19. Amending the resolution 54411, which authorized Mayor President to execute a contract with LAZ Parking to provide parking garage management services in an annual amount of $764,920.28 to $845,920.28 for 2023, in accordance with the unit's cost activity pricing and rates defined in the contract, and authorized adjustments in the annual amounts payable in future years by Department of Business and Operations. Is anyone here wishing to speak on the item? We now go to council members. Is there a motion to approve item 90? So moved by the chair. Are there any objections? Second. Any objections? Seconded by Councilmember Hudson. Council members, we're now going to go to 92 before 91. Amending the annual operating budget as to reallocate $4,263,695.75 of the proceeds from the local fiscal recovery funds through the American Rescue Plan Act to provide funding for projects and initiatives as follows: $1 million for the emergency rental assistance and housing stability, $1 million for the community violence intervention program, $560 for senior meals to be provided by the Council on Aging, $600,000 for public safety equipment and for the Baker Police Department, $100,000 for building improvements and human resource building, $200,000 to assist the homelessness through the Capital Area Alliance for the Homeless, $200,000 for the additional funding for the district attorney to outsource and expedite DNA testing on gun-related cases, $103,695.75 for police replacement vehicles, $500,000 for the stormwater drainage improvements by Mayor President. Is there anyone wishing to speak on the item? Council, Mayor, would you like to speak first? Or, okay, Mayor President.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and members of the council. I came this evening because I just wanted to reaffirm that this funding is extremely important. These projects are extremely important as we all have been committed to the well-being and safety of our community. Each and every one of the dollars that we will spend in this item, I believe, adds to the resiliency of our community. As you know, we're covering a lot of different spaces, including law enforcement capabilities, addressing critical needs like homelessness prevention, rental assistance. And so at the end of the day, we are strengthening our city with these initiatives that we have on the agenda tonight. So I just wanted to reaffirm the importance and significance of these items tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor President. We now go to Jennifer Carwile.
Good evening. You usually see me here talking on behalf of Together Baton Rouge, but I am also the chairperson of Methodist for Social Justice from my church, First Methodist, and one of our major initiatives that we work on is homelessness. So I was really glad to see that there's a lot of money for homelessness and homeless services in this money. I was a little sad because there's only $200,000 for Capital Area Alliance for the Homeless, and that's an organization that we work with a lot. I want to share a quick story of a day that I was there, volunteering, playing Uno with people out in the parking lot, not in the parking lot, in the yard. And one guy came up, and he had been let out of Baton Rouge General. He was a homeless guy and got into some problem. He was let out of Baton Rouge General in a hospital gown. So he walked up in a hospital gown and was distraught. And I said, "What you need?" And he was like, "Man, I don't know. I need some clothes." And I was like, "Go inside. You can take a shower. They have a closet." So the man went inside. He took a shower. He came out maybe 30 minutes later, showered with clothing on. And he said, "Man, thank you so much. That I feel so much better now." I just wanted to share that because we've got folks being let out of the hospital in hospital gowns. So these folks need to be there doing the things that they're doing. We talk about homeless a lot. Y'all have talked about homeless a lot in different parts of the parish. It would be wonderful to have a Capital Area Alliance, location off of Seagan or Bluebonnet or wherever the encampments keep showing up to service those folks. And then I just wanted to bring up a memory of a few years ago when Council on Aging kept coming up, and there was issues in the council about, are we funding them, are we not funding them? Because there was some issue with how things were being run. And I know that the Capital Area Alliance for the Homeless has gone through some directors. There's been turnover, and I don't know if that's something that's on people's mind, but these folks do important work, and it would be very bad to throw the baby out with the bathwater. If there is anyone with a concern, I hope that you help fix the concern as opposed to not funding the project, because these folks are needed. Thank you.
Ms. Anderson, and then we'll go to Ms. Marcantel. Ms. Anderson. I'm sorry, Councilmember Anderson.
Please don't make me bring my grandbabies up in here to handle some business. I actually just had a couple of questions. One of them is, it says that this is amending the budget, and this is the same budget that just got approved in December. Is that correct? It's a different budget? The 2024 budget, this is not an amendment to that budget? Okay, that's what I thought. Somebody nodded their head no. I just wanted to know where these funds were previously allocated, since it's an amendment. Were they adjustments to the dollar amounts, or are they actual different items and the money's being moved into a different place? So that was really my one question, is where the previous funding was from.
I don't know if somebody from the administration coming, but I'll respond if they're not coming to respond, and they can correct me if I'm wrong. You coming? Okay.
Well, hold up. Let's do this. Let's finish the public hearing first before we go to council. We'll put a pin in that question, Dante. Remember that. Is there anyone here wishing to speak on item? Ms. Marcantel.
I know at the end of the day that this is going to pass, and I'm not here to object to it. I've been working with the homeless for a lot of years. My deal is the same as Reverend Anderson, is accountability. I've been here before where I have asked that we find out how this money is being spent. I know it's $200,000. But I also know, and I'm not sure that y'all are aware of this, that the Capital Area Alliance for the Homeless services Ascension, East Feliciana, Iberville, Point Capee, West Baton Rouge, West Feliciana, but we are the only parish that gives any money for the services that they give there. We've given $500,000 over the last 5 years. Councilman Coleman and I, we went over and visited with the prior person that was running the facility. She said some things to us when we were there, and I told Councilman Coleman when we walked out, I didn't expect that she was going to survive, because her attitude about what she wanted done is to get people off the street first and then give them the services, and that's not what was going to happen. Her last day was December the 31st, and we now have a new person over there. I believe we got to have services for the homeless people, but I also believe that the incestuous relationship that is existing with giving the money to Capital Area Alliance for the Homeless, which basically they become a property manager, as what we were told when we were there, for the other people that are doing the work, which is START and the other groups that are there. START Corporation is there to go out into the streets and deal with the people on the streets, to be able to help them and get off the streets. From the website of Capital Area Alliance for the Homeless, they talk about their goal is to get housing for people. I agree with it. But I also know from what I am doing, from being on the streets, we are actually soliciting people from not only other parishes, but other states. And we're bringing them here to the detriment of the people here in Baton Rouge. I personally believe that whatever we are funding, it needs to go for the people here in Baton Rouge and not for the other people that are being solicited and brought here for the benefit of the other groups that are working out of that building. We just need some accountability. I agree with Reverend Anderson on this. I was here a year or so ago asking the same question. We still don't have accountability.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here wishing to speak on the item? Dante, go ahead and respond to that question.
Absolutely. And I'm very happy to say that through really solid fiscal management on the part of the administration, as well as our Department of Finance, the lion's share of this money is actually being reallocated from administration to direct services. So what does that mean? There was a certain amount of money that was set aside for project management. I'm sure all of you know, we had engaged with CSRS to help us manage American Rescue funds. However, through strategic use of that contract, we've been able to save a significant amount of money. So I want to say out of the $4.3 million that we're reallocating, about $3 million of that is from management of that contract, to answer the initial question.
Thank you. Sure. Councilmember Adams.
Stay there, Dante. Dante and I met and talked through all this, and so he knew I had some questions that I wanted answered today. So $1 million in emergency rental assistance and housing stability. Explain to us what that money is going to look like deployed in the community, and how many people we anticipate helping through the use of these funds.
Absolutely. I appreciate that question. And it's really going to be, the lion's share of this is going to two different things. Number one is exactly what the two ladies came up and talked about, but additional assistance and homeless support for homeless individuals. We're going to be using a lot of this money to match money coming from the Louisiana Housing Corporation to provide rental assistance for individuals experiencing homelessness. We do have some American Rescue Plan funds. I want to say maybe $4 million set aside of additional funding that we're going to try to deploy to provide up to 11 months of housing supports for individuals experiencing homelessness. Another big part that's going to fall under this is individuals that are victims of violence. So I'll use a real world example of parents that have lost children to gun violence. What we've been able to do is help some of them find new housing so that they are not living in the same neighborhoods where they've lost a child or lost a spouse or a family member, right? Because if the people know exactly where you live, they can come back and inflict violence on you again. So we've been able to help a number of people move into different housing using this emergency rental assistance money.
Is the rental assistance for 3 months, 6 months? I mean, is there a time limit when we help someone?
So historically, I believe, and please do tell me if I'm wrong, I think we've typically done about 3 months of rental assistance for individuals. However, on the homelessness side, like I said, we're going to be matching some funds with the Housing Corporation to provide up to a year of housing assistance for individuals experiencing homelessness.
And will y'all report back to the council on how this money is used?
Absolutely. One of the things that I believe was approved earlier tonight was a contract with Vinformatics, who's going to come in and do a comprehensive evaluation of how every single one of the American Rescue Plan dollars have been spent up to this point, so we can come back later in the year and provide that update to you.
Thank you.
Yes,
moving to the $1 million for community violence intervention programs, how much money, I feel like we've seen things come through the council. I know we've seen things come through the council over the past year and a half, 2 years that are community violence programming. Do you know how much money we've invested in the past, say, year to 2 years on community violence intervention programs? Do you have a sense of that?
I want to say when looking back at 2022, when we allocated the last tranche of ARP money before this period, I think about $5 million of American Rescue Plan dollars have gone toward community-based violence intervention.
And how are we measuring the effectiveness of these funds deployed in the community?
So most of this is getting deployed through our Safe Hope for Healthy program. And, over the last 2 years, Assistant CAO Scott and her team have come and provided year-end reports consistently that document what we've done during Summer of Hope, what we've done for the Mayor's Youth Workforce Experience, and additional community engagement that we've done throughout the year. If there's a specific question, I'd ask ACAO Scott to come up and talk to that specifically, but we do provide annual reports, and if there's something that you need in more frequent intervals, I think we can do that as well.
So for people who don't deal in this or understand this world, can you explain what community violence intervention deployed in the community, boots on the ground, what does that look like?
Absolutely. And I see Courtney walking up to the podium now.
As Dante shared, the $5 million is correct that we've had over the last 2 years, but the funding that you're allocating now, if approved, will specifically go to justice-involved youth. So referrals to an agency that is working directly with the court system. You've heard us talk time and time again about these repeat offenders or people who may already be justice involved. Mm-hmm. This new allocation will be strictly focused on extremely high risk or at-risk people that are referred from the DA's office or from the courts. We also have an allocation for the Safe Hopeful Healthy Classroom, which is funding that works in 5 key schools. Mm-hmm. In partnership with EBR schools to do career readiness and our wellness team to work specifically with referred students who are having disciplinary issues and challenges within schools. So that way they're having management proactively to being connected to the justice system. And then the last piece is for increased data and analysis, from Vinformatics as well, which is our agency. We'll have to bring that agreement back before you that does the data. Our yearly reports live on safehopefulhealthybr.com. The annual report for 2023 is not uploaded yet, but the last time I came to speak, which I couldn't remember, is the report that I offered to you all that's on there. So we do quarterly reports out to the community monthly, and then the annual reports are published online.
Thank you.
No
when
problem.
we talk about justice-involved youth and with this program, what is the universe? Is it 25 kids? Is it 500 kids? Is it 1,500 kids? What's that look like?
That's a rough estimate to give to each piece. We can always talk to our court systems to get specific data. However, there's a collaborative report that we've done with BRAF. They have a community safety report that they've put out at opportunitybtr.org. And there's an estimate that the highest risk can range anywhere from 250 to 300 youth That does not mean justice involved. That means youth that we are looking at the most highest risk of potentially being victims of gun violence. And then we can look at our court data to understand how many justice involved youth we have in EBR.
Okay, that's helpful. I think it's helpful just to
Okay,
understand.
absolutely.
Okay, and Dante, I've got more questions. Thank you, Courtney.
Thank you.
I want to ask you about the 560,000 senior meals through Council on Aging. What's going on there? Because we do have a millage that supports meals for seniors. So,
Absolutely. And I have asked some representatives from Council on Aging to be here tonight. But to give you kind of a preview of what we've discussed, I believe during COVID-19, their meal delivery service saw about a 31% increase in demand. And we know that's for a number of reasons. And what they did was go to the state to ask for some additional funding to help bridge that gap for the 31% of extra people that were needing assistance. I think that's somewhere in the realm of about 1,200 new mouths to feed. Please do correct me if I'm wrong on any of these points. We have been notified that in the next few months, that additional funding from the state is going to be drying up or being reallocated elsewhere. So what we're trying to do while Council on Aging identifies a long-term funding strategy for this is to just make sure that those additional 1,200 seniors are not going to get cut off abruptly in the next 2 to 3 months.
and so these seniors came onto the program during COVID-19. Are they recertified? Or do we think they're permanently going to need meals? I mean, was this specifically related to the pandemic? That's good, or we just think the program is going to be this size moving forward?
Potentially, but I'll let Ms. Amar come up and give some additional information.
Good evening, how's everyone? First and foremost, it was about 2,500 seniors that were added during COVID. Of those 25, we're in the process of reassessing each one of those. And so as they came in during COVID, they just told us put everybody on the program, no matter what the prior stipulations, regulations, criteria were. And so they're currently on the program. And so the charge has come from the feds to the state that we are to go ahead and start moving them off the program. So what we're doing now, we're reassessing them to see if they actually fit or meet the 4 standard criteria. And I brought them with me so that you all can know what they are. First one is preference shall be given to providing services to older individuals with the greatest economic and older individuals with the greatest social need, with particular attention to low-income minority individuals. Number 2, the term greatest economic need is defined as the need resulting from an income at or below the poverty threshold, according to the Bureau of Census. The term greatest social need means the need caused by non-economic factors, which include physical, mental disabilities, language barriers, cultural and social isolation, including that caused by racial or ethnic status, which restricts an individual's ability to perform daily tasks or threaten his capacity to live independently. And the last one is full service providers shall attempt to provide services to low-income minority individuals at least in proportion to the number of low-income minority older persons in the population. And so what I can say to you is that those that joined during COVID do not meet these criteria. They're in your areas that you never really see them. They don't come to the senior centers. They are in their homes, and they are in some affluent areas. So we are reassessing some of them. And what I mean by reassessment, there's a form that all councils use across the state called the Louisiana Independent Living Assessment. We go in and they get a score. And based on their score, that will determine if they stay on the program. And our request and ask of the city was, instead of just putting them off by next month, allow us the opportunity to keep them on the program until the first quarter of next year. The $560,000 only pays for a little bit. We will match those funds as well. So that's about 75 to 80,000 additional meals between now and the first quarter of next year.
And you're going to be assessing. And so when we get to next year, you may find that your population that you're serving has come back down to what you're used to.
And I'll also find out is what happens.
Go ahead, you can
What
answer
happens
the question.
sometimes is once they realize that they have to go through the assessment, they decide they don't want it. So sometimes they self-remove. And so we're going to go out to these 2,000 to 3,000 people's homes. It's going to take some time, and we sit with them and their caregiver and go through the assessment tool.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Dunn.
Ms. Omar, you can stay
Yes.
right there.
Yes, sir.
Comments, or a comment was made earlier about what the previous council did and thought about funding that was going to the Council on Aging. And I say this with love, Jennifer. I think you referenced saying because they felt that the Council on Aging was not managed well or operated well or something to that effect. I mean, I have the quote directly right. But I don't know that there's been any data, facts, or information that's been presented to suggest that the Council on Aging has been managed incorrectly or not well. On the contrary, I think there's a lot of data, information, and proof that the Council on Aging has been managed and operated properly. Right. And I just wanted to give Ms. Amar a chance to speak to that, and I'll move on.
Most definitely, as Reverend Anderson mentioned, we do monthly reports to our fiscal agent as well as to the federal government. We send you all quarterly financial reports. We do an annual report. It's all online. We've invited you all to the facility. And what you can see is two things. We have some tangible accomplishments that we've made in this parish and in this state, which has propelled us to the second largest council on aging in the state of Louisiana. And, you know, people from all over the country are asking us to come out and share our model. So I would say that even though in the beginning there were some tumultuous times, but there was nothing founded.
And briefly, could you just kind of speak to some of the investments you guys have made into infrastructure and facilities?
Sure.
You know, where you were on Florida Boulevard and where you are now?
Well, of course, we have a brand new administrative and commercial kitchen where we can make anywhere from 2,000 to 50,000 meals at one time. We have a brand new incorporation conjunction with the city parish, a brand new what we call our supersized senior center on Main Street, where we took a piece of adjudicated property, used grant funds, some city parish funds, some millage funds from us, and created a brand new center where we have anywhere from 200 to 300 seniors there daily participating in activities. We've grown from 8 senior centers to currently 23 senior centers. We have 2 housing complexes. We just finished a $32 million, 116 unit aging in place facility that is fortified silver, the only one in this state. We're in the process of breaking ground in March with Care South, where we'll be doing the first ever geriatric health care facility in this parish and in this state. On top of that, we are in the process of doing another housing project up in Baker, Lotus Village 2, which are individual cottages. We are also in talks of doing a project up in Howell Park, Howell Place, where we're going to do housing for grandparents raising grandchildren and those children that are adjudicated that live with their grandparents. So we're working, we're grinding, and so that's what we're
And
doing.
lastly, Ms. Amar, the intergenerational
Intergenerational center, I'm sorry, I forgot that piece. It's on Gus Young Old Fire Station, the corner of 38th and Gus
Can you
Young.
educate this council on what you mean when you say old fire station? What took place? How did that?
It used to be the fire station that was left adjudicated. The city gave it to us. We rehabilitated it, and now we do intergenerational programs with the seniors and the youth. The seniors kind of adopt the kids as their mentors, and they teach the seniors technology. The seniors teach the youth after-school programming and etiquette and decorum, and so we do activities all day there.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
So again, plenty of information, data, proof that the Council on Aging is well managed and run. Thank you for your time. Councilman Cole, I'm gonna need a double nickel on this one. Want to speak to Ms. Markentale's comments about capital area and their service footprint of service in multiple parishes, but East Baton Rouge Parish being the only parish that she's aware of that's giving them funding. I remember the conversation around the bridge agency when the tax was up, and that was a conversation about their services, servicing people outside of East Baton Rouge Parish. I actually support that thinking and that mindset that, you know, our funds service people in East Baton Rouge Parish. So my question would be to the administration, can we add some language that these funds that we give to capital area for this homelessness be spent on residents of East Baton Rouge Parish? Somebody want to speak to that?
Yeah, I'm not sure that it's currently written in a way that these dollars are specifically.
Yeah, I understand it's not written that way.
segregated.
My question is, can we write it that way?
Yeah, I believe, I'm going to have to get with our parish attorney on what that contract looks like when we draft it up. But if there's some specific language that needs to be added, I would have to consult with the attorneys to see what that looks like.
Okay. Anybody from the parish attorney want to speak to that? Can you come speak to that?
He doesn't want to.
Or should we just get a commitment from you and administration that language will be in agreement?
I won't know till I sit down with the administration and go over it.
Okay.
But I'll get back to you as soon as we do. I just hadn't met with them on it yet.
All right. Thank you. So look into that and get back to us. Chief Mose and Courtney, please. So questions were raised about the community violence intervention program, the funding, how much funding, what does boots on the ground look like, and things of that nature. In my opinion, I don't think we've given enough money to the community violence intervention programs. And, we've talked about this for quite some time, and basically what this work is doing is treating crime as a public health issue and addressing things proactively. And one of the organizations, Cities United, which the city is in partnership, Safe Hope for Health is in partnership with, and the slogan is approaching the crime issue as a public health issue to reduce gun violence, creating a better lifestyle for young black men and boys. And we all know that we're having an issue with violence with young black men and boys. And I've said this many times, we won't police our way out of it. We won't jail our way out of it, but we will educate, create jobs and income opportunities out of it that will stop people from turning to crime. We have no problem giving millions of dollars to more police, more equipment, more units, more jails, all of this stuff. We need to make these investments on the front end, because these investments on the front end is what reduce the need for police on the back end. I continue to say police are crime responders. They are not crime stoppers. The crime stoppers are jobs, education, mentoring, tutoring, and these community violence intervention programs that reduce the rate of crime, that stop young men and boys from turning to crime. And, the data is there. The numbers are there. And I want Courtney to give us those statistics of the decreases in some of the violent crime and things of that nature based on these approaches. And then I'll come to you, Chief.
Absolutely. In the last 2 years, we've seen a reduction of 34.15% in our homicides over the course of the 2 years. And then from 2022 to 2023, we saw a reduction of 8.57% in homicides, and then non-fatals are 24.57%. And these are incidents related to gun-involved homicides. One of the things that we always look at is you can't count the incidents that don't happen. So I want to give a little bit of an example of what intervention or prevention looks like, because this is complementary to law enforcement. Law enforcement responds to an incident that has already occurred. Someone has been shot, violence has happened. If there are multiple people shot in that incident, we sometimes go to the hospital, try to catch a person bedside. That vulnerable moment where you're looking at your life in front of you may be a moment that we can try to get someone to make a change within their life. Also, at the site of the incident, there are people sometimes that are out and about that may have information to share to prevent. When I mean share to prevent, that's essentially victims have family members, siblings, friends that may be very unhappy that someone's life was lost. We make sure that we have people within the community that are having conversations to let them know that retaliation or a get back is not the way to go. When you're asking a person to change a lifestyle that they or their family members have been in, and that is all they know, you can't just say, stop, put the gun down. You have to give them other rehabilitative measures to be able to do so. That's education, job placement, mental health. Councilman Hurst had a program that he was doing with BRCC where people were deciding to kind of give up negative lifestyles to go to BRCC to do those things. jobs, educations, and placement, those are things that we need to be able to make sure that we're offering. So we had 153 school interventions. Because I talked about the Safe, Hopeful, Healthy Classroom, that's things that are happening inside of school environments. 57 referrals to education, job placement, and mental health. And we currently have 141 participants in case management. So those are people who have been involved in gun violence in some way, shape, form, or fashion, or their family members, because we look at family members as victims as well, that are currently on our caseload, that we're working to make sure that they get a positive reinforcement, whether that be a job, mental health, supporting that relocation. Those are all things that we're working in within these programs.
Thank you, Courtney. Before you leave, and Councilman Mocha's going to give me some of his time.
Yeah, go ahead. You don't need to use this time.
Could you indicate citywide, parish-wide on your numbers, just for a point of clarity, and then I go to Chief?
The reductions are parish-wide. You guys often hear me talk about PSP, which is the Public Safety Partnership. Once a month, our team sits with our law enforcement agencies and Vinformatics, and we review all of this data that comes in. And Vinformatics works with the Crime Strategies Unit from the DA's office, as well as the data team from BRPD, to analyze these numbers and look at where we are. That data that they analyze also informs us of where we need to be canvassing, where we're seeing areas being high risk, at risk, and ages of partners, so we know where we need to engage.
Thank you. And again, Councilman Mo, parish-wide. Chief Mo, yes, parish-wide. I know you inherited many of these programs, but you've been on the force, actually, involved in some of them, and now you're in a different capacity. But just kind of wanted you to speak to the effectiveness of the programs and what you think about the approach.
I think you hit the nail on the head, Councilman, and it's what I've been kind of saying in all the community meetings I go to, is that crime, especially violent crime, is not something we can police our way out of. We're going to do our part and respond and investigate and put the bad actors in jail. But we also need to front load for success and give, especially the young people, different avenues to go to. So I think you put it perfect, and that's something that I always preach to, is not something we can just police our way out of. We got to have that balance on both ends.
Thank you, sir. And
Yes,
thank
sir.
y'all for y'all patience.
Councilman Hurst.
I think Cleve took 4 nickels on that one. But couple things. That's why I don't like him talking before me, because he takes all my talking points.
Councilman Moak, then.
Absolutely not. I might hum for the next 10 minutes, but y'all gonna listen. Amazing grace. All right, but as it relates to the council on aging, you good, Tasha, stay there. But excuse me, Director Amar, be respectful in the chambers, for sure. But I have seen her be a ray of sunshine in my community for the people that we serve, and her amazing staff that's extremely supportive. So while the Lotus Center, am I saying that's the one, that's the main center, right, is the largest, the Charles R. Kelly Center is number 2 in the parish, right? That's not directly associated with the building that they constructed. And what I will tell you is that our numbers have grown tremendously. We are busting at the seams to the point where I've even talked to Director Amar about donating some and creating surplus property in the back of our facility, because the seniors don't want to leave. They're so routine based. I had to learn that early on. You can't just shock them with change. But we have the space and the ability to create new infrastructure specifically to support seniors in 70805. And so I'm going to offer that to you again publicly. But they do an amazing job at closing that gap. And again, what I want to tell you is one thing. As I go to the task force, we have a video that we're going to present at some point about how bad the parish jail is. But you're talking about it. You're not seeing it. You're not experiencing it, right? And so it's the same thing with your facility and your headquarters. It sounds great, right? But when you walk through, or you literally walk through with your mouth open and drop, like, man, are y'all really doing this in Baton Rouge? And so I want to challenge you to contact the Metro Council email with dates and times that we can come tour your facility as a group. Because the same way we all need to tour the jail is the same way we need to see what you're doing every day for these seniors. Because a lot of times we're making third-party decisions for something that we have access to on a daily basis. So that's my charge to you, and thank you for the good work that you do. And you have my approval on that because I see the work every day. I'm going to call on, not to stand up, but just talk about a member of the crowd who's always supportive in the community with Mr. Don Luther. So he brought somebody from outside of the district because everybody doesn't have a community center. And this goes back to some of the housing money. I know this specifically to answer some of Lori's questions about where that rental assistance goes. So we use the YWCA, we use the mayor's office, a bunch of different resources of where that money goes. But he specifically called me because the particular person he was dealing with doesn't have a community center in that district. And they said, we see all the supportive services that you offer. Is this something that you help with? I'm on the library board with Don. I was like, it is. So he has a gentleman, I don't know the age, I'm gonna say somewhere around 80 years old, is that about right? Who has some health issues, as inflation has impacted him, he's gotten behind on his rent, didn't know that till the day I actually texted Don, wasn't thinking about this item, saying we took care of your guy. We got his back rent up, his 90 days, he was in arrears, but we also paid 30 days ahead to make sure that he can catch up in those areas, while we also try to facilitate other resources for him. So that rental assistance goes a long way, but I promise you, if I didn't use 33% of that money allocated last year, with people coming from 7805 to my community center, where my district offices provide supportive services, I don't know who did. And I will tell you, the last 6 months or last 60 days, I probably made 5 or 6 calls to the mayor's office to do the same thing. And we've had people caught up on their rent who were about to be evicted that would have created another homeless issue, to being caught up and then paying in advance to make sure that they can do what they need to do to adjust their household income to make sure that that does not perpetuate in the future. And then the final thing is, when you have somebody who is homeless and you dial that number, they will house that person in a hotel for a number of weeks to make sure that they are off the streets. Throughout that period, they do require the individual to find their own housing, but once they find the housing, they will pay the deposit plus 3 months rent in advance. So that service has been used a number of times by me, the people in my office, as well as other community centers around here. So this item definitely gets my support. I thank y'all for coming today.
Councilman Moak.
Thank you very much. Dante, can you come up, please? So, going back to the original beginning of this discussion, people had asked about the reallocation of funds and things like that, and we get that quite a bit. But with this particular fund, American Rescue Plan funds and things like that, there's time limits and there's allocations that we have set that they're either not going to meet the time limit or they've given up on the project or something like that. So these funds are just like with the administration that you had said. Great job to CSRS for saving the city money, but those funds are still there and need to be reallocated out of the place. So items like this are not going to be the first thing. This probably won't be the last thing that comes up. I guess I just wanted you to explain to the public a little bit and let them know, you know, as far as these funds in 2026 and, you know, different things that may be coming up. I just wanted the public to understand and see if y'all could just kind of give a brief rundown of what may happen with these funds and everything, as far as if they either not spent or not reallocated to other projects like these, which are great projects that we're doing.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely correct, and thank you for bringing it up. So under the guidelines of American Rescue Plan, by the end of 2024, every single dollar that we have has to be allocated towards something, or we will be at risk of losing that money. Additionally, not only does it have to be allocated, but by the end of 2026, all of these dollars have to be spent down. If these dollars are not spent down by the end of 2026, they will go back to the federal government. Additionally, if we spend this money on something that is not an eligible use per the federal government, it can go back to the federal government. So I believe that most of this money was allocated, I believe, in 3 separate tranches between 2021 and 2022. Now that we're running up against that 2024 deadline to have everything allocated, it's important that we review things that are not currently on track to be expended by the deadline. And that's why we're coming back in front of the council to potentially reallocate. Well, the plan is to reallocate these dollars, but I believe that we're going to be coming back to you all in the coming months with proposals to reallocate additional funding. And as I've mentioned to you and other council people, we are going to be looking for your input and support as we do further reallocations throughout the rest of this year.
Right. So I mean, basically, like you just said, it's two deadlines. 2024 to have it allocated, projects on the books.
Allocated and encumbered. I want to make sure I'm being clear on that.
Okay. And then 2026 to be spent.
Correct.
And that comes from the federal government as part of the allocation and through them and so on. As far this could just be the beginning of it, but any other savings or any other projects that come along, we're going to work together to possibly move these to other areas, and we appreciate you working with that. So thank y'all very much. I think it shows a great, as far as the administration and all of us working together to make sure that, these monies have been assigned to us. So we're going to make sure we get them allocated and used in our area.
Yes, sir, absolutely. And just to take 10 more seconds, I do want to clarify something. Councilman Dunn, I was able to step aside and talk to a representative from Capital Area Alliance for the Homeless. The vast majority of these dollars are not going to direct services. They're actually going to the facility. So there's maintenance issues that they have not had the funding for, including restrooms, showers. They're also going to be putting the rest of this money into building security. So these dollars are not going to direct services. The funding for direct services is actually coming from the state. I just wanted to clarify that point. Thank you.
Councilwoman Banks.
Yes, Courtney, please. I think Courtney was the expert on the community violence intervention program?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, anytime you say school system,
yep,
I always have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I like the idea that we are addressing homelessness. I think it's something that probably, for us to get a handle on, it needs to always be part of a major plan for our city. And so I'm really glad about that. But one of the issues that could help, and it is the fact that homelessness is a huge problem in East Baton Rouge Parish school system. Many of I know they have Oasis. Did I see where we gave?
Youth Oasis, that's correct.
We gave Youth Oasis, but I think their capacity may be about 50. And the kind of homelessness that children in East Baton Rouge school system have is not what we traditionally see. They could be put out for 3 days, 3 months, living, and the reason it goes undercover is because, there's somebody, they double with somebody. But even in those times, I have students who are stay the night with somebody and they wake up with somebody raping them. And they don't even know it's rape. They're like, and he was having sex with me. And so a lot of these are the things that cause our students to be youth justice involved.
Yes, ma'am.
And I see the career, literally, we're doing well as it relates to career counseling in our school. They're making sure that students are being exposed. And I think the programs that you all have in already are good. My question is, with this $1 million, is there an opportunity where programs, especially those that address homelessness, where people can ask, you see, can there be sub-recipients to this $1 million? What is the plan? Because I really am not comfortable with us just saying we partner with EBR with these 5 schools, because that is not the answer.
I do understand. So there's 2 layers to that. Number one, you were very on point about the complexity of all these challenges. Mm-hmm. And what I do believe you're seeing in this specific pot of resources, along with what we've been trying to do over the last few years, is marry resources together to make more comprehensive solutions. So the $1 million for emergency rental assistance is administrative dollars to do part of what you said. That's very separate from the piece with 5 schools. So there's $1 million for emergency rental assistance administration, and there's $1 million for community violence intervention.
That's the one I'm talking
With that being said, the $1 million for emergency rental assistance does create a space for partners to be able to access a referral and application portal to connect them to those exact services that you're talking about, where we can work with OCD and providers and look at exactly what a person is experiencing, because that's transitional, right? So for the ERAP program since 2021, we've done about 30% of transitional or homeless. That's why we were able to come up with this program. So the answer is yes. It's going to connect the dots, not just for schools. It's going to connect the dots for families who are experiencing just really complex situations, challenge situations where they need to marry wraparound services with housing, temporary housing, permanent housing, and it really helps to keep them off of the streets and in a case management with the current agency that they're with.
Okay, the other question is, when we go to school, part of it, they don't have uniforms, school uniforms, and I know St. Vincent de Paul has been who we've worked with, but again, even with them, resources are being reduced. Can any of these funds be towards school uniforms for students that are homeless?
Not this particular tranche, but the previous community supports that you all have offered do have hardships. We'd have to look at them on a case-by-case basis, but we do have supports that I'm sure can put them in a box to make sure that they get those supports that are necessary.
How about, are all these funds for reimbursement, or, for each one of those agencies, do they have to, is it on a reimbursement? Whatever
I'd have to yield to finance because every contract is different, but it's either reimbursement or disbursement for most of them. But I have to yield to finance on the anatomy of these.
Can finance tell us about each one of these? I do need my 5 minutes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Oh, you started before? That ain't right.
I don't have control of it now.
I'm just messing with you. Y'all eating up my time.
So based on the information provided, there is no authorization to enter into contracts. If there's a contract that will be authorized over 50, it will come before you. So at this point, I don't have a contract to comment on because there is not one with a particular vendor at this point.
So when they say Council on Aging...
Oh, the Council on Aging, yes, that will be reimbursed.
560, and Baker Police, y'all have $600,000 to spend on equipment to get reimbursed? I would think that would be a challenge for a small department. So how would they?
So currently, we have an agreement with Baker Fire Department in a previous allocation, and we do it on a reimbursement basis. So they procure and order the equipment, and then we reimburse them.
So this is Baker Police Department?
Yes. And the first, remember in, I think it was the second round, we did a bunch of fire districts, and Baker Fire was a part of that.
No, this is the police department.
I know, but it'll be written similar, so it will be on a reimbursement basis.
Okay. And my last question is, one of the questions I thought we had kind of dealt with as it relates to the agreements between the council and the administration, and that is when, first of all, if somebody says $4 million plus is available, I think that should be information that the council knows up front. And this plan, which is how you all did it the very first time when we got ARPA money, we were able to come to before you even got to the council, we kind of knew where everything was going to be. So with this, though all of these are good, I think of phone calls that I get as a council member from people that work with homelessness and say, I'm not part of the STAR, but I'm doing everything. I'm doing more. More people come to me. I service more, but we can never get money from the city. Or I put in an application to OCD, and I haven't gotten any money for it. Or they're losing the land to build housing for homelessness. So to me, I'm at a, I don't know what to say because I don't know money's available. But had I known, then this is a conversation that can be discussed so that the money is allocated in a way where those complaints and those stakeholders who are already investing in our community without our support could also be a part of this. So, that's my thing. I don't, and hearing that it may be other is good, but I want to go on record to say that if money is available and the administration does not bring it to the council members to talk about what needs to happen, I'm not going to support it because I think it's not fair. I think the way this money is put in, you would look like an animal or someone heartless to not approve it when we know the good work that each one of these are doing it. But you put us in a precarious situation where we're having to approve something where in our minds we're thinking about people who have called us and they're doing the same work. Food Bank just sent us a letter at my community center saying they are not going to be being able to provide us meat for 3 months, protein for 3 months because they don't have the funding. So these are things that a conversation could help, and just like everybody, I serve 400 to 500 people a month through our food bank, and so just having a conversation could have said, well, look, the food bank can't do protein. They don't have any money. I'm sure they would have loved, and it serve all of us parish-wide. So that's my thing. Again, all of these are great agencies. These are needs. There are other needs, and sometimes you got to spread it out a little bit more and be more thoughtful. And the only way you're going to do that is that there is a communication with us that are right here in the grind with people who are calling us, meeting us, telling us this is what's going on with our agency. How can you help? And I'm able to say no because I don't know about this. Thank you.
Okay. Sure. Councilwoman Banks, I think a lot of what you said is fair, and I think I mentioned it earlier, but as we go into the next round of doing this, we are absolutely going to be soliciting council input. So myself and the finance department are going to be sitting down with department heads in the next 2 to 3 weeks to review these budgets to see which of these funds have not yet been encumbered, to get a better idea of what that timeline looks like and to find out what additional money might need to be reallocated. And before we make a decision, I'll commit to making sure that we check in with council people before we put something back on the agenda. So, yes, ma'am.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Just want to say here, I want to go back to a lot have been said, a lot of numbers have been spewed out, but the bottom line is what Mary Jane Marcantel spoke on, and that's accountability. And so I want to know what's in place to make sure that accountability is going to be strong with every entity here. And also, and that means there has to be a plan. When we talk about the Capital Area Alliance for the Homeless, there's no direct services, but it's for maintenance. And that's a drop-in center where a lot of men are. But when we visited over there, those men weren't doing anything but sitting around watching TV, smoking, and all of that. So they ought to have some responsibilities there, and this is real. They should have some responsibilities there so that this money can go to direct services and not just to maintenance. And then there should be a plan. I went there. She's correct. We went there, and every person there ought to have a plan of action, what it is that they're going to do, and this should not be a spot where there is nothing for them to be able to vacate or go on to something else instead of just sitting around watching TV all day. I work hard, and I expect them to. Now, the emergency rental assistance over at our center, our people come there and get that. So it is my hope that this is going to be available to them as well. And I mean, it makes a difference. The senior meals, my seniors, yes, indeed. Council on Aging take care of the seniors. And I know that there was a number on a billboard over there, which was 1 million and whatever, it's about 1,500,000 meals or people that had been served, and that's excellent work. I'm glad that Baker Police, that public safety equipment, safety, we can't talk about that enough. And that homelessness, I can speak about District 10, it's growing. We clean up, if you go back over there under that interstate, where we've cleaned up, they have come back with mattresses and they've even bought some tents. And so here again, opportunities and a plan for these people. And of course, we run them out of 10, but if we run them to 2, 3, or 9 or whatever, it's still not doing anything. So there has to be a plan there. But who's here from Capital Area Alliance for the Homeless? But accountability. And so I'm going to ask that we have a time where they come back and give a report so that we will know how many have been served, what has happened, what's going on, the whole 9 yards when this kind of money is being put out. Who's here from Capital Area Alliance for the Homeless? Come on over, darling. So when you talk about just the maintenance and no direct services, talk to me about what your direct service. Talk to us. Tell us about what y'all doing over there.
So my name is Pam Wall, and I'm the chair of the board. And I've been there almost every day since our last wonderful director lasted about 3 months. So we've had 2 directors in the last 6 months. And so we're lucky. What we do, what the Capital Area Alliance for the Homeless does, we provide a building. We have 4 different nonprofits that provide direct services. They, just in the month of January, which was very recently, we had 3,565 direct services offered to the homeless people in January. Now, that's not 3,600 people because many people come in and they need 2 or 3 things. But those were direct services that our tenant residents provide.
Talk to us about direct services. Give us some examples.
Okay. We have a clinic on site. It's a primary care clinic with a nurse practitioner that does behavioral health. So that's a big thing because if you understand, homeless people have terrible health. We have 911 calls sometimes 4 or 5 times a week. So we've just started working with the 6 Medicaid health providers to figure out how we can improve the health of the people that are living on the street. We have since you came and visited, we have a partnership now with Louisiana Workforce Commission. They came once, they spent a full day. They're coming back. We did a walkthrough just 10 days ago for them to decide who is going to sit where and what they were going to do. But the problem with putting people who are homeless to work is, and we have lots of examples where a lot of them want to work. What they really want is money, and they realize this is an avenue. So they keep saying, Miss Pam, can you find me a job? But we have incidences where they have a job, and they make sure they have a bed to sleep in that night. When they get off, if their boss says, I need you to do this one more thing, and then they go and the shelter's closed and they can't get the bed to sleep in. So the next day they have to go to work dirty. Our most requested services that this money would help us pay for are showers and laundry. That's the number one. Now, we have the clinic, we have case managers, we have a lot of people if they're not already diagnosed with mental health issues, they're traumatized. If you've never been homeless before, within 6 months, you're not the person you were when you became homeless. This is the problem. We are the largest day shelter in this balance of state, 22 parishes. We are one of the largest day shelters in the state. We have had as many as 150 people back when it was, 110 degrees. We had as many as 150 people coming. I look out on them and I'm thinking, they're not on Segan Lane holding a sign. We have the perfect setup. The only problem is we have 2.5 FTEs. So we have a director, and we don't have a director right now. We have an interim, but we do not have enough maintenance. So our building is 12 years old. It has been used for 52 weeks, as heavily as you could possibly imagine, by homeless people, Monday through Friday, 40 hours a week. We have delayed our repairs and maintenance. My husband, who happens to be sitting there, probably sleeping in that chair because he came with me tonight, I get telephone calls 3 or 4 times a month. Is Mr. Mike there? He has unstopped toilets. He has used an otter, something like that, because we had doors that stuck. We have not kept our showers up. We have woodwork where the showers have leaked and we've caulked it, but we need this money, for instance, to make our building safe. We are perfectly right across the street from St. Vincent de Paul.
That's correct.
So we provide 40 hours a week of day shelter. And again, when they're there, they're not in front of a business, they're not on Segan Lane holding a sign, and they're there 100 almost every day, either on the campus or inside. When it's nice weather like this today, they're kind of out everywhere. Mm-hmm. But at 4 o'clock, they start signing up, if they aren't already signed up, for not beds at St. Vincent de Paul. We have a day shelter, they have a night shelter. The sad thing is that many of these people, that is their life, because there's no place, there's no housing to put them. Although I know that we have housed more people in the last 2 or 3 months than we have, and it's not us, it's START. We have the attorneys that help people. They tell me all the time, Miss Pam, somebody stole my wallet. I don't have a Social Security card anymore. And most people have Social Security or something like that, but they can't afford a place to live. It's not enough. I really think a lot of them, they carry everything in these big black garbage cans.
Okay, our time's running out. So
Okay,
what's your
sorry.
plan, Pam, to
Well-
make some of these things a reality? What you see? What do you see?
Do you mean a plan for the building and the $200,000?
You've already said you was going to use that for that. I'm talking about to get beyond that, the plan for the folk to be able to be, if not self-sufficient.
Unfortunately, nobody put me in charge of making that plan.
Oh, okay.
But we have partnerships with the workforce development. BREC has had trouble with homeless people in their parks. So LHC has come with us and we've met with BREC. Right now, we're doing the first phase. After that, we need to train park staff how to interface with the homeless people.
That's correct.
Because they're afraid. And we need all those good people to work for.
Yep.
for BREC.
Got to have the right people when you're working with that population. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Rocca.
Thank you so much. Can someone from finance please come up? Hello. Can you tell me how many ARPA dollars were awarded to the city of Baton Rouge, the parish of Baton Rouge?
$165 million.
How many do we have left?
I think we have 25% basically left, 40 million.
Okay, thank you so much. I have to commend Councilwoman Shauna Banks, and I agree with a lot of what she said tonight. And then something that was alarming to me and struck a nerve was administration said, we'll consider what the council people want next go round. We have 25% left. And it's nothing to our vendors currently here, and I'm not criticizing them. But I do think it's important to note that when you look at these district numbers 1 through 12, there's not a person in this city that knows the people better than those people that represent those districts. From people that ride around to people who have community centers. I visited with Councilwoman Coleman, who hosted an expungement event at her center, and the way that she talked to her people, resonated with them, offered help and guidance, it was just absolutely remarkable. The only person that may know anything better about our individual districts would be Fred Rayford, and I'm pretty sure he could tell us exactly where every pothole is. But just moving forward, I hope that some consideration is given and to us with the remaining as to how we want to see these things given. Obviously, administration is looking at the city as a whole, which is what their job is, to make sure the city as a whole is functioning, the parish as a whole is functioning. But I've gotten a lot of questions and received a lot of email about where are these dollars going, what are these for, what does this look like, and everyone's done a great job of explaining that tonight, but I would like to be a little bit more involved with the last bit. Thank you so much.
Councilman Hurst.
Mayor, you can come to the mic. I saw you getting up. And Justin, whoever's over there, one more time back, but it's fine.
Thank you. I have been listening to a lot of the conversation that has taken place tonight. I first want to add clarification that all of the dollars have been allocated for ARPA. All of them have been allocated. I secondly want to talk about inclusivity in terms of issues and projects and needs of our community. As our administration looked at the expenditures of ARPA dollars, we considered a lot of the comments, a lot of the issues, a lot of the feedback that we got from our council members on what is going on. I think that I have heard from mostly, if not everybody, a lot of you all on this whole issue of homelessness that's impacting north, south, east, west. Councilman Hudson, Mayor Pro Tem, I know I've heard from you about, and you've been actively involved in going out, looking at the encampments, etc. So I would think that all of us agree that we have an emerging homelessness issue. And we also understand that homelessness is a very, very complex issue. We're talking about veterans sometimes. We're talking about people who have mental health challenges. We're talking about families who just have fallen on hard times. So when we did, and I did hear everyone said that they really didn't have any objections to the current expenditures, but I just wanted to share that our approach has always been inclusivity of what we're hearing from the council members and our community as it relates to needs. We have an open door policy. We try to keep the lines of communication open. We hear from people in your communities who have proposals and who have presented them not only to you all, but to us as well. And so I assure you that our motivation, and I believe you know this, is to make sure that we improve the quality of life for our citizens with these dollars that have been coming from the federal government. But I look forward personally to hearing from you all as we move forward about some other areas perhaps that need to be touched. And as you know, we pride ourselves in being transparent. All of the dollars that we spend are accessible to everyone through our open checkbook or open data, so you can see every dollar that is spent by the city parish government, including these dollars on our internet. But I just wanted to say, our goal is to help everyone, help this entire community with the needs that we see that are in many instances emerging. And actually, I wanted to say that I asked to come first before item 91, Mr. Pro Tem, and item number 91 is actually the approval of our homelessness coordinator, who will be honing in specifically on addressing homelessness in Baton Rouge and East Baton Rouge Parish. That is on our list, but that was item number 91. I asked to come ahead, but I just wanted to add that to the conversation. And thank you all for being very attentive and showing, what public servants do, and that is to want the best and maximize the best with these dollars for the citizens that we serve. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mayor. I don't think I'm going to take that long. But, so, what is that?
To clarify, the mayor was on my 5 minutes. You do have 5 minutes.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
But you don't have to use it.
I might use 10. Now, I've only spoken once, to be clear.
Yeah.
This is my second time speaking. Thank you, Justin, for recognizing me properly. I agree with my colleagues on that in terms of knowing the district, especially people with community centers. They come in with needs every day because you have doors open and people to talk to. A lot of times they don't know how to access administration, or they think they don't. It's literally just Googling the phone number. And let me bring the mic to y'all's conversation behind me while I'm on the mic. Thank you. So, but I did want to take a personal point of privilege. Well, let me address one quick thing. The lady from Homeless Alliance, employee EBR requires that you work in most cases between 8:30 and 4:30 p.m. So when we talk about challenges with accessing career opportunities that close the gap in terms of workforce, I'll tell people every meeting, I believe employee EBR is the key to taking us from where we are as a city to where we could be for both educational, entrepreneurial, and workforce development opportunities, as well as continuous life skill training and other things. So if you aren't utilizing that and focusing every day on building relationships, then we're not focusing on the right things that relate to homelessness. So they can make sure that you have a job between 8:30 and 4:30. The process is challenging. They're working on improving that part, but the end results are great. So make sure you access that. And I'm going to take a personal point of privilege today to represent Mr. Earl the Pearl Marcel, who is a Southern University College of Business legend. When you hear about the College of Business, you hear about three people, which is Dean Andrews, Ms. Catrice Albert, and then Earl the Pearl Marcel, man. So I just want to thank you for visiting with us today and staying beyond your time on the clock to see one of your students do the work. Thank you so much.
And that's who all of us at Southern University made sure we took Mr. Marcel, because he was so funny. Mayor, you know Dawn Marcel, that's her father. You know Dawn Marcel? Yeah.
Thank you. I'll just add briefly in regards to the Council on Aging, because everybody knows I like to make comments on the Council on Aging. You forgot to add that you won a Good Growth Award this year, so add that to the list.
I did.
Oh, you did add? Well,
I did. You're right, we did
And as far as feedback from the council in regards to District 9, I do appreciate the allocation for homelessness. That is an issue on O'Neill Lane that we are dealing with, and it's a serious issue. So thank you for that. Beyond that, for future infrastructure, that's what we need out there at the southeast part of the parish. Yes, you do have some money for drainage, and we'd love a lot more. Thank you. Is there a motion from the council? Motion by Coleman. Seconded by Councilman Hurst. Any opposition? Please show Councilman Knoll as abstaining. Seeing no opposition, item 92 carries. We'll go back, council members, to item 91, authorizing the mayor president to execute an agreement between the city of Baton Rouge, parish of East Baton Rouge, on behalf of the Office of Community Development, and Jessica Lewis for work to be performed in support of the Home American Rescue Plan program in an amount not to exceed $90,000 by the mayor's office. We'll open the public hearing for item 91. Anyone from the public wishing to speak on item 91? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing and go to council members. Motion by, Councilman Dunn.
Councilman Hudson, since we're doing points of personal privilege before we move forward, in Mayor Pro Tem Cole's absent, I want to ask the members of, is it CATE, Community Advocacy Training Organization, to stand up and be recognized. Eugene Collins and Ms. Chambers started this organization. I understand it's about 500 or 600 individuals that are learning to advocate for things that matter to them in their community. So if y'all give them a round of applause. Thank you. Thank y'all for being here.
Councilman Hurst.
This is directly about, and I'm gonna make her come to the mic and come up. 1 second, not you, man. No, Mrs. Lewis. But I just want to say that she's amazing. I met her a while back working with Christian Outreach. Her breadth and wealth of knowledge in this space, the ecosystem that she has of how to deal with homelessness. And I will tell you, while working with Christian Outreach, she's helped me service a number of people from youth to adults, providing resources, accessing the Purple Cow through that program, and making sure they had furniture for people. So I'm going to tie two programs together. So when we're taking people from homelessness to homes through the rental assistance program the mayor has, I will call on Jessica and say, Ms. Lewis, can you help me with some furniture or resources, because they don't have anything. So I will get vouchers to make sure that we can furnish those homes. So it's two programs working together. And additionally, for the last year and a half at the Charles R. Kelly Community Center, she's had a program where she's taught people life skills, worked on utility programs and other things. So I'm excited to have you as a member of the city parish now and not just part of our ecosystem around it. So thank you so much. And I would like to give you the floor if you'd like to say anything to the people.
Well, thank you all so much for having me here this evening. I just want to say I am super, super excited with being able to work with you all. I look forward to everything that we can do together in order to fight the good fight against homelessness. And if there's any other questions that you may have for me, I would love to set up meetings with you guys so we can move the needle forward in regards to that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Amoroso.
Stay at the microphone for me.
Yes.
So I know I hear from a lot of constituents, and others probably do, is that, nobody wants homelessness in their backyard.
Sure.
In fact, I did have a situation that it was in one of my constituents' backyards, and it was a tough situation. And they come up and say, well, just move them, just put them on a bus, just ship them out of here, and that kind of thing. And the mayor hit on an issue, and I try to explain this to my constituents as well, that it is a very difficult issue. It's not just loading them on a bus or loading them on a train and shipping them out of town. I know that there are situations where they do have advocates come in and speak for them and all. So if you would just speak to some of the very difficult issues of dealing with homelessness, explaining to some of our constituents that it's not as easy as just, putting them on a bus or find a place to live or some of those things. If you would,
sure. So
speak on some of those things.
I can tell you that at this time, with being new to this role, there's some things that I'm going to need to learn in regards to that. However, there are a lot of different issues that are difficult in regards to individuals that are homeless. It can go from an individual that has overdosed on some sort of drug. It can also go from someone possibly getting hit by a car trying to panhandle on the side of the road. It can be a lot of different situations, but what I am planning on doing is trying to come up with some sort of strategic plan within the next 2 months in regards to how we're going to be able to address that issue. But there are a lot of different hard issues that we would have to face in regards to homelessness. So you're correct on what you're saying on that.
I mean, so I try to explain to my constituents as well, is that some of these people want to be homeless. And I know I don't understand that, and other people don't understand that, my constituents don't understand that. So I don't know if you have a plan, what you do with these, these folks that want to stay homeless, they, and all, but that, I know that that's one of the issues, and it's hard to explain to people that they want to live outdoors, they enjoy it for some reason, Anyway, so I didn't know if you could address that issue as well, but I appreciate what you're going to do for us.
Not a problem. Thank you so much.
Councilwoman Banks.
I was just going to say, when a lot of times you may recognize when people are homeless and they seem like they don't want the help, a lot of time it's the trauma that they've experienced that makes life hard. And so the ability to actually do life is something they cannot fathom because of the trauma that they've experienced. So it doesn't make sense to us, because and it wouldn't make sense to me. But you could actually, it's the same thing with foster kids. If they're moved into a good location because of the trauma, they can't even accept the good. And so it's still mental health. It's an issue.
Absolutely.
So and hopefully you can explain like that.
Yeah, I have a motion to approve.
Motion to approve from Councilman Hurst, seconded by Councilman Moak. Any opposition? Seeing no opposition, item 91 carries. Item 93, authorizing the mayor president to execute supplement agreement number 1 to the entity state agreement with the state of Louisiana, Department of Transportation and Development, in Louisiana, 408 Hooper Road, Jewel Road to Sullivan Road by Transportation and Drainage Director. We'll open the public hearing for item 93. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and move to council members. Motion approved by Councilman Moak, seconded by the chair. Any opposition? Seeing none, item 93 carries. Item 94, authorizing the mayor president to execute a joint funding agreement with the U.S. Department of the Interior in connection with water resource investigations, being the installation and maintenance of stream gauge stations for the annual fee of $200,200 by Transportation and Drainage Director. We'll open the public hearing for item 94. Seeing none, we will close the public hearing and move to council members. Motion by Councilwoman Adams, seconded by Councilman Hurst. Any opposition? Seeing none, item 94 carries. Item 95, authorize the mayor president to execute supplemental agreement number 2 for professional engineering services with Evans Graves Engineers, Inc. for services associated with Move EBR Corridor Enhancement Project, North Boulevard, I-110 to Foster, Florida, in an amount not to exceed $637,286.74 by Transportation and Drainage Director. Open the public hearing for item 95. Seeing none, we'll close the
Council
public.
members, you should have received one email comment in opposition to item 95.
Seeing none, we will close the public hearing for item 95 and move to council members. Motion to approve by Councilman Moak, seconded by the chair. Any opposition? Seeing none, item 95 carries. Item 96, authorizing the mayor president to authorize recording the FTA funding and 2 grants in the amount of $4,013,493 and $7,212,606, totaling $13,251,684 upon receipt of award notification, and to authorize the acceptance and to record the funds $2,309,548 received from DOTD as related to the Nicholson Plank Bus Rapid Transit Project by Transportation and Drainage Director. We will open the public hearing for item 96.
Council members, you should have received one email comment in opposition to item 96.
Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and move to council members. Motion by Councilman Hurst to approve, seconded by Councilman Moak. Any opposition? Seeing none, item 96 carries. We'll move to adjudicated properties. We'll take items 97 through 120 together. Item 97, Lot 44, Square 15, Subdivision, South Baton Rouge, Metro Council District 10, Coleman. High bidder, Whitaker Investment Company, LLC, $300. Item 98, Lot 56, Square 15, Subdivision, South Baton Rouge, Metro Council District 10, Coleman. High bidder, Whitaker Investment, LLC, $300. Item 99, Lot 67, Square 14, Subdivision, South Baton Rouge, Metro Council District 10, Coleman. High bidder, Whitaker Investment, LLC, $300. Item 100, Lot 65, Square 14, Subdivision, South Baton Rouge, Metro Council District 10, Coleman. High bidder, Whitaker Investment, LLC, $300. Item 101, Lot 55, Square 14, subdivision South Baton Rouge, Metro Council District 10, Coleman, High bidder, Whitaker Investment LLC, $300. Item 102, Lot 1A, Square 12, subdivision Bank, Metro Council District 10, Coleman, High bidder, Kevin Cook, $4,800. Item 103, Lot 7 and 9, Square 47, subdivision South Baton Rouge, Metro Council District 10, Coleman, High bidder, Charlie Fisher, $16,000. Item 104, Lot 24, Square 102, subdivision South Baton Rouge, Metro Council District 10, Coleman, high bidder, Cynthia R. Ford, $7,300. Item 105, Lot 4, Square 4, subdivision Northdale and Addition, Metro Council District 2, Banks, high bidder, Courtney Robinson, $500. Item 106, Lot 45, Square 3, subdivision Greenville Addition, Metro Council District 7, Cole, high bidder, Axe National Management Services, $1,100. Item 107, Lot 44, Square 3, subdivision Greenville Addition, Metro Council District 7, Cole, high bidder, Axe National Management Services, $1,100. Item 108, Lot 12, Square 28, subdivision Fairfields, Metro Council District 7, Cole, high bidder, Axe National Management Services, $7,900. Item 109, Lot 11, Square 9, subdivision Standard Heights, Metro Council District 10, Coleman, high bidder, Courtney Davenport, $500. Item 110, Lot 22, Square 39, subdivision South Baton Rouge, Metro Council District 10, Coleman, high bidder, Darren J. Patterson, $3,600. Item 111, Lot 59, Square 15, subdivision South Baton Rouge, Metro Council District 10, Coleman, high bidder, redeemed. Item 112, Lot 14, Square 4, subdivision Valley Park Annex, Metro Council District 12, Rocca, high bidder, Wilfred L. Beal, $30,100. Item 113, Lot 10, Square 35, subdivision Greenville Extension, Metro Council District 7, Cole, high bidder, Termesia Moore, $500. Item 114, Lot 14, subdivision Fairlane, Metro Council District 5, Hurst, high bidder, Vast, $600. Item 115, Lot 9, Square 8, subdivision Fortune, Metro Council District 5, Hurst, high bidder, Emily Drury, $100. Item 116, Lot 14, Square 36, subdivision South Baton Rouge, Metro Council District 10, Coleman, high bidder, Claudia Comina, $500. Item 117, Lot 3, Square 1, subdivision South Baton Rouge, Metro Council District 10, Coleman, high bidder, ASSSK LLC, $1,000. Item 118, Lot 24, Square 4, subdivision Bogan, Metro Council District 7, Cole, high bidder, Axe National Management Services, $9,900. Item 119, Lot 35, Square 2, subdivision Kombuzu, Metro Council District 10, Coleman, high bidder, M2 Brokerage LLC, $8,500. Item 120, Lot 30, Square 1, subdivision Dayton, Metro Council District 10, Coleman, high bidder, Kenko LLC, $3,000. Motion to approve items. We'll have a public hearing on items 97 through 120. Anyone from the public wishing to speak? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing and move to council members. A motion to approve items 97 through 120 is in order. Motion by Councilman Hurst, seconded by Councilwoman Adams. Any opposition? Seeing none, those items 97 through 120 carry. We've done administrative matters, so we'll move to appointments. There are none. We'll move now to change orders, and we'll take items 121 and 122 together. Item 121, Department of Environmental Services renovation, contractor Blunt General Contractors LLC, change order amount, a credit in the amount of $10,000. Item 122, traffic signal connection and communication installation, contractor Ernest P. Bro Electrical, change order amount $21,518.06. We'll have a public hearing on items 121 through 122. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and move to council members. Motion to approve by Councilman Knoll for items 121 and 122, seconded by the chair. Any opposition? Seeing none, items 121 and 122 carry. We'll move now to item 124. Is that the last one? All right. A review of the parking garage contract and a discussion on options to terminate said parking garage contract with LAZ Parking by Councilman Cleve Dunn Jr., Councilwoman Carolyn Coleman, Councilwoman Jen Rocca, and Councilman Aaron Moak. We'll open the public hearing for item 124. Anyone from the public wishing to speak on item 124? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing and move to council members.
Well, I was going to pull that item. So,
We can have a motion to delete.
motion to delete.
Motion to delete by Councilman Moak, second by the chair. Any opposition? Seeing none, item 124 is deleted. We do want to recognize Miss Whitney Hoffman-Sayal. Her happy birthday to you, ma'am. So everybody give Miss Whitney a big round of applause. And seeing that there's no other items, we'll now move now to Councilwoman Amoroso. With a motion to adjourn, seconded by the chair. Any opposition? Seeing none, we are adjourned.
I'd like to talk to the gentleman with the parking garage. Yes, sir.
I feel like we should come back to it, make sure we didn't miss anything. Because we skipped around so much in the beginning, but I guess it's good. All right.